1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're good though. We have 11 or 12. Yeah, I think we're all good. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to the board meeting for January 14th, 2026, which I need to keep remembering to write correctly. Till 2025 in my mind. So with that in mind, we'll go into recognizing that we're conducting our business primarily on the territories of the Hupetchis and the Chishok First Nations to recognize, affirm, and appreciate that fact. From there, we're also having our meeting. It's being conducted in a hybrid format. So we have people in the boardroom today as well as online. So folks online will be coming to us from different traditional territories as well, and we'll recognize those just generally speaking. So we'll do introductions within the board, within the boardroom first, and then we'll go online. I will state that we do have some folks in the gallery, but they may be our presenters. So if there are any comments or questions for the board when we get to question period, you don't just have to be in the room or on the Zoom call. You could, in fact, send in an email to responses@acrd.bc.ca, and we'll check that and act accordingly. So with that in mind, we'll go this way and go around the table and then go from there. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Heather Zenner, Manager of Administrative Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cindy Solda, City of Port Alberni, Mayor Minions, could not attend today, so I am replacing her today.
Good afternoon, Aklama Penikote. I am the Electoral Area Director for Sprout Lake on the ACRD.
So we are having technical difficulties because our microphones aren't working on one side of the room. Yeah, so it's a whole side of the area. So with that in mind, what we might do is maybe do our introductions online and continue going. So Vida, if you wanted to continue, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Veda Siga, I'm the Director for Long Beach Area C.
Thank you. And Bob?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Bob Beckett representing Bamfield Area A.
And Tom, it looks like we found the errant cord. Please go ahead, Tom.
Yes, good afternoon. Councillor Todd Steer, appointed director from the District of Tofino.
Thank you. And Fred?
Hi, Fred Boyko, Electoral Area Director for Beaufort.
And Marilyn?
Good afternoon, everyone. Marilyn McEwen, Mayor of Ucluelet.
And Levana?
Good afternoon, Levana Mastrangelo, Director representing Ucluelet First Nation.
Awesome, thank you. And Dr. Coots?
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Apologies. I'm Mariah Coots. I'm the representative for the Hutchins-Clossachok government. Happy to be here. Clecco.
Good afternoon, everyone. Susan Roth for Beaver Creek.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Sparrow, the rep for Cherry Creek.
Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Sayan, the CAO for the ACRD.
And good afternoon, Alex Dyer, General Manager of Planning and Development.
Good afternoon, Cynthia Dick, General Manager of Administrative Services.
Good afternoon, Mike Herg, Special Projects Director.
And good afternoon, Terry Fong, Chief Financial Officer.
Thanks, everyone. My name is John Jack. I'm the Chief Counselor for Hoyt and the Board Chair. And I'd like to point out that Director Solda isn't just an alternate director, she's a former chair of the board as well, so welcome. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, we can move into the approval of the agenda. We do have a few things that we'd like to look at in terms of altering the agenda. So first of which is to add a new late report for 12A. It's I guess a debrief on the meeting that was held on Friday, the recruitment and retention of medical professionals in the Alberni Valley. So there were quite a few members of our board who attended, as well as members of our staff. And so we wouldn't mind having a quick, maybe roundtable reflection on that. And the other one was a mistake that was made on the published agenda regarding item 8O. And I'm wondering if you could help explain the differences, Heather? Please.
I don't know that I can explain the differences, but hopefully somebody from the finance team can. We did correct the staff report and bylaw, and the agenda was emailed out to directors yesterday and updated on the website. So I hope everybody has the updated version.
So is that an update on the material, not necessarily the item itself?
It's an update on the bylaw amendment itself, which I'm happy to explain now, but can explain when we get there if you like.
If it's the same topic, then we'll deal with it when we get there. Then.
Same topic, just allocation of where the numbers landed.
Okay, so it's the material.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other modifications to the agenda that the board would like to entertain? If not, we could move the agenda as amended. So moved by Director Roth and Director Solda. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Alrighty, that brings us to declarations. Does anyone have any declarations of conflict of interest, perceived conflicts of interest, or gifts exceeding $250 in value as per section 106 of the community charter? That's before taxes. I don't see any, so we'll move on to the next item. So this is item 4, which is the adoption of minutes. We're going to try a new way of approaching the minutes. So the board of directors meeting minutes need to have their own motion. However, the committee minutes can be all pulled together and covered in one motion. We'll save probably 45 seconds doing it this way, but every second counts. So we have item A, the board of directors meeting minutes for December 10th, 2025. Would anyone like to move that? Thank you, Director Roth, seconded by Director Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. And then we have a motion that in the beginning of the second page that the Board of Directors receive meeting minutes, items B to F. Moved by Director Roth, seconded by Director Sparrow. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Hey, maybe we saved 30 seconds. Okay. So that brings us to item 5, which is petitions, delegations, and presentations. And before we get to Ms. Lewis, I'll just reiterate that our presentations are usually limited to 10 minutes of content. So if you see me hold up 2 fingers or 1, that's how many minutes you have left. And if it looks like you're pretty dang close to the end of your presentation, I'll just let you go over a bit. But if it doesn't look like it, then I'll probably hit pause and ask the board to continue. The board almost always continues on with the presentation if you go a bit longer, so don't freak out over it. And that time limit doesn't count the discussion afterwards. So yeah, I'd like to welcome Ms. Anna Lewis, the manager of the Alberni Food Security Society, on a report on the Gleaning Project. Thank you and welcome.
Of saving time, what I would have done is practiced. But I did bring my notes because I practiced this at home and it was 15 minutes. So Good morning, Chair and Directors. And see, it's not even morning, it's the afternoon now. So my name is Anna Lewis. I'm here on behalf of the Alberni Valley Food Security Society, and I'm wanting to talk to you about our gleaning program. So, and how this program is a way of sharing and addressing food security, public safety, and sustainability across our region, and why it matters more now than ever. So it's a local community-driven program that turns surplus food into community benefit. So the Alberni Valley Food Security Society, I just want to share our vision because I think it's important and sets a bit of context. So our vision is that there is a food secure Alberni Valley where all people at all times have access to nutritious, safe, personally acceptable, and culturally appropriate foods produced in ways that are environmentally sound and socially just. So this is kind of our guiding principle that underlines our organization. Okay, so across the Alberni Valley, we're seeing pressures on household as our food costs are rising dramatically. So not just in the Alberni, probably across the entire globe right now. So for many families, seniors, and individuals on fixed or low incomes, basic groceries are getting harder to access. So one of the first things that tends to get off the grocery list is our fruits and vegetables, even though they are incredibly important to our health and well-being. So as a result, we're seeing our Bread of Life, the Salvation Army, they are really struggling to meet this rising demand in our community. They're doing an excellent job, but their services play a critical role. But right now, their focus is just more on this getting food into bellies, where food security initiatives in the Alberni Valley are not just about responding to need, but about building a more resilient, sustainable, and cost-effective food system for the whole region. So, gleaning, what is it? It's a simple idea with a powerful impact. So volunteers, they harvest the surplus fruits and vegetables from trees, gardens, farms, and then that's food that would typically go to waste. And then that food is equitably shared between the homeowners if they desire to keep their third, the volunteers that pick it, or local organizations that have food security as one of their initiatives. So it's great because it's keeping our local food circulating and getting into residents' bellies. And so why does it matter? Well, it addresses multiple challenges all at once. So reduces our food waste and associated greenhouse gas emissions, which are a little lower now that there's the organics program here at the ACRD. We're improving access to fresh, local, nutritious foods, supporting our vulnerable population, and then building community through volunteer engagement. And then, of course, as you can see by the little black bear, it definitely helps mitigate the wildlife interactions between residents and in our urban and rural settings. But gleaning is more than just food recovery. It's also about people. So it engages volunteers of all ages. We've had to put a 10-year cap now on our volunteers, so it complies with our liability insurance. And we build a lot of food literacy and awareness. People learn, oh, how does this food, how does it appear on my plate? What do I have to do after I actually harvest it? So they're learning about post-harvesting. And it strengthens a community between the residents, local food organizations, farmers that are receiving the groundfall. And basically it strengthens the culture of sharing, of mutual support, and collective care across our valley. So when we look at some of the more economic and environmental impacts, from a fiscal perspective, gleaning delivers exceptional value compared to purchasing or replacing food. So this is not based on my research. When I say gleaned food is about $1 a pound, this is from across Vancouver Island. Various gleaning programs put their heads together, and that's the amount that they came up with. So gleaning delivers food at $1 a pound, whereas in the grocery store, you're $3 to $5. In the case of cherries, you're upwards of 8 to 12, depending on organic or non-organic. Environmental, again, looking at the keeping waste out of the landfills, mitigations with wildlife, aligning with Wild Safe BC's policies, and as well some of the regional public safety goals. So when we look at our program growth since inception in 2012, there's been over 70,000 pounds picked. So those first 4 years, from 2012 to 15, there was a total of 15,000 pounds that was picked. And then if we look at the last 3 years, we've seen exponential growth. 2023 was just under 4,000, 2024 just under 10, and then this past year, an exceptional fruit year, was over 17,000 pounds. So this number does not include the groundfall that's collected for the farms, and I would say you could easily tack on probably another 4,000 pounds of fruit. So it's a lot, but it also tells a story like this growth, because it's showing that the gleaning project is responding, like the demand and value of the program is there. Yeah, it's growing. But as we go through the growth phases and challenges, we look at, why does this matter now? So yes, our food costs and food insecurities going up across the region. The demand, we have a lot of home owners that reach out. Unfortunately, often it's too late. So the room for growth is there if we can do a little bit more education around, this is when you need to connect with us, because when 50 people phone with their trees all right, we only have so many volunteers. It says the program scale is approaching the limits of volunteer-only coordination. I would say it's surpassed the threshold of what is able to be done on volunteers. Yeah, so it's a timely, acting now protects values already being delivered. And so the whole reason I'm here is because my plan is in April, when we go through the grant and aid process, thank you, that I will put an application in for the coordination portion of this program through the grant and aid, because it needs to be done. So when we look at program activity, this past year, we had 98 gleans. And then I broke down the demographics to show, this is interesting. So City of Port Alberni, there were 69 picks were completed. ACRD was 27. So that's all the electoral areas together. So there is definitely a discrepancy, urban versus rural, but collectively, this program impacts the entire valley. And sometimes outside of the valley as well. We've had one of the NTC dietitians was taking a bunch of fruit out to Didadat every week last year, and then also out to Ahousaht. So it's beyond just the valley as well. When there's that opportunity, or we're able to make sure fruit's getting elsewhere, and we have transportation, we do that as much as we can. So I don't need to, I'm recognizing the fingers. So the program is in alignment with the ACRD strategic priorities around sustainability, safety, and community well-being. And so, yeah, again, our growth has increased the need for coordination, volunteer support, scheduling, reporting, safety oversight. There's a whole list and host of things. So continued funding, really, we don't have any funding. So some funding would be amazing in terms of sustaining this momentum, protecting our volunteers from burnout, and ensuring that the program can continue to deliver the proven outcomes across the region. Yeah, like for example, one of the things we hear loud and clear from the organizations that receive the gleaned fruits, they're very happy to receive it. But what they would really, really love to see is like a post-harvest shelf-stable product. So we look at, okay, think of baby food for young moms, right? Oh, could that be coordinated with Doc Plus? There's so many ways and avenues that we could have a greater impact. But yeah, it's a capacity thing for sure. And
one moment. Oh, hey. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not even going to talk. I'll just answer your questions now.
Okay, thank you for that. We have please go ahead, Dr. Roth.
I'm curious, and I don't remember you saying, are you a registered society?
We have been a registered society now since 2024, the beginning.
Okay,
yeah.
So but then you'd be, eligible to apply, I would imagine, to the grant then. Thank you.
Yes, we currently have a grant and aid. We're working on the farm fish forage online directory. So yes.
Dr. Cote.
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you, Anna, for the presentation. Love this program. I think that it's such a benefit to the community. What I would like to know is, do we have a presence on the regional district website? We've suggested a lot of promotion through, what's it called? Nancy Wilmot, the Scoop, advertising that way, and yeah, whatever we can do as far as advertising. Is there something we can do on our website, and do we have anything on our website?
I would say currently there's nothing on your website, but I often know that there's cross-posting by the ACRD social media page whenever we are putting calls out for volunteers, for gleaning, for CD Saturday, like all our various programs that the ACRD is very good at cross-promoting.
Is you're looking for some funding by the sound of it? Is that for a position
So the thing that happens is because we often receive a summer student, right? So but they need to be completed all their work by August 30th. So August 30th is about when everything starts taking off. So what we're trying to do is cobble together funding that would support a position beyond that summer student scope, right? So looking at 8 weeks, basically from mid-August until Thanksgiving, so mid-October. So an 8-week coordination contract position.
Could this position be coordinated with like the university, college, that type of thing? Because in the past, we've often looked at programs that could be utilized. It would be a paid contract, but working with university or college programming.
That's something that we haven't investigated because we wouldn't be able to guarantee work per se in a gleaning capacity beyond the end of October. I mean, could it be like a semester co-op program? That is something I have not investigated the possibility of, but I can let it percolate.
I'm wondering if you could stop sharing, and then we'll have Dr. Siga and then Dr. Boyko.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just wondering if the gleaning program, like obviously you're going to need vehicles to move the produce around. I'm wondering if that's all volunteer and whether the gas is actually on a volunteer basis as well. And it sounds like there is a need for some research into grant opportunities provincially and federally as well. And I'm wondering if there can be some collaboration with the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust and our own Ag Department. And I don't know who would comment on that from the board or ACRD perspective. Thanks.
Alex?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'll also recognize we have Amy Needham in the room here who leads a lot of that work for us. But I would say our Agricultural Development Committee, as well as our Coastal Foods Roundtable, are great sources for highlighting the opportunities that we have in our communities, whether that's grant opportunities that we take advantage of. And we certainly have a long history of doing that. So I would say that, we are continuously looking for opportunities to help leverage our funds in this case. And we'll continue to focus that work through the committees that we have.
If I can just interject. So yes, I do sit on the ADC committee. I chaired it for a number of years. And so they're well aware of the gleaning program, and Amy Needham, the sustainability planner here, actually sits on our board of directors as an advisor. And we're so thankful that we have the support and relationship that we have with the ACRD staff. It's really great. And then I just wanted to comment on the gas. Yes, it is. I will say my farm truck, which is currently sitting outside here, has been volunteered during the gleaning season. Often the co-op is kind enough to give us about $1,000 in gas cards per season, which I distribute between our primary volunteers that are towing our trailer with all our equipment. And honestly, the transportation of equipment is one of our biggest hurdles that we have, is just having someone that has a vehicle that can tow a trailer and that can back up a trailer. I personally just stop, take the trailer off and push it to where it needs to go.
That is also what I do. Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's a great idea of the gleaning, and it actually redistributes food around the valley. I would be supportive of a grant application, but I would not be supportive of increasing the entire grant basket. So we'd have to figure out where to take some money away from something else to put it here. But this is something that actually gets food into people. But there's a lot of, how do you want to say, culled fruit that is removed and to save it from getting bears in people's yards and things like that. Is there a way that is distributed to farmers that are growing pigs and things like this, that shares it amongst many farmers so they can all benefit from that? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so we have a call out for farmers that have livestock that would like it. Last year we had 6 farmers that were all on our roster, and then depending on who's driving the trailer, where food is going, who's around, it was delivered to various spots. And it is hard if it's a farm, like let's say out at the end of Bain Road. That's a little difficult to get apples out to when you're looking at an increased spot. But we also have had farmers come to the actual site, and then they pick up, they bring their own bins that we can fill up, and then they come up later on and pick them up.
Perfect. Because I've heard local farmers that are getting say throwaways from restaurants, and that they've actually been restricted in what they can get for various reasons. But having it available that people can get this and raise their own livestock and increase food security in the valley is a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would say that the pigs that I raised personally this year had a pear finish, and they're delicious.
Okay. We have Dr. Sparrow and then Dr. Solda.
Thank you for that. Just a couple of quick questions here. So I know people in my area each year they're a little older than they were the year before, obviously, and they're getting a problem where they can't get the ladders anymore. And I know your project is a great project, but they're a lot older than me, so they don't look on the websites. So you have to find a way of communicating to them on their terms, which is they don't go out much, they don't do much, they live in their houses, they have apple trees galore. So is there a way that you can contact people so they can phone you? You don't have a contact.
I'm just thinking now, like when I used to chair the Air Quality Council years ago, one of the things that we would do in conjunction with the Cherry Creek, the water district, is we would put on the back, what is it, your bill quarterly, but we would put an information thing, whatever you, but there's that ability. Maybe that's something I could investigate further with you in terms of, or with the water board, and putting some information, like we're coming up to gleaning season. This is how you can register your trees. Yes, I do a lot of picks out Cherry Creek, and I'm well aware of the average age.
Thank you. And that'd be good here at the ACRD too, because they have their quarterly bills for Beaver Creek as well. And as for volunteers, that's also the second part of the puzzle, is the hard to volunteer. So are there any youth groups out there willing to do something that could help with, and then get a grant that way? Or because they're young, they're enthusiastic, but they need so, moving that way.
I have Director Solda and then Director Roth.
Thank you, Chair. There's a lot of people out there that really go with the program, and I remember when it was first started, so it was very successful, and so many people volunteered. I'm glad you still have the volunteers. What I'm curious to know is, how much money are you asking for from grants and aid? And then I'll follow up.
Well, if I look at ideally, and so I've given this some thought, but I haven't actually written the application yet. So, but if I was to say an 8-week program, like from end of August to end of October, and then if we were to look at like $8,400, and if that's divided by 8 weeks, kind of at 30 hours per week, that would average out to mathematically ends up being $35 an hour, but as a contractor, subtract 30% because you need to pay CPC, CPP, WCB, your own insurance stuff. So it would be in and around, like that's what we would put out on our website. What I need to really take a look at is, you know, typically we get about $800 a year in donations. That's not like our gas cards. So need to take a real look at what can we leverage, what other grants are out there. But the granting world right now is really shriveling up and dwindling. And yeah.
So suggestion, 100 women.
Yes, I'm not a charity though. We don't have charitable status. So.
Okay, understandable. And I would definitely contact Nancy from the Scoop and also the Wave, but also there's ACRD has newsletters that go out, so we could do some posting there as well as through the city too. So it might be something to talk to the city with and work with them too. So I just thought I'd bring that up. There's lots of other ways. Thank you.
Thanks for all the ideas.
Thank you. I just had a couple questions myself. First of which is, could you go into a bit more detail about any ideas in working with Doc Plus? And second, are you actively kind of posting your kind of timeline so that people know that, you know, when you're going to be in Beaver Creek or Cherry Creek or that sort of thing? Because those kind of things can be reshared, and suddenly you might have, you know, a group of teenagers who want to go out and help or something like that too. So just on a volunteer basis.
Yeah, in terms of the scheduling component, it's really having that one-on-one conversation and teaching homeowners how to identify, is there fruit ripe? How do you cut your apple inside? Look at the color of the seeds, blah, blah, blah. So we did this year incorporate, I created like a tree scouting form, and I had my very enthusiastic tree scouter who would go to the sites, do an assessment of the trees. So like to try and help us reduce the amount, like you don't want to show up and then the fruit's not ripe. So it is kind of it's so weather dependent, volunteer dependent, who can drive the trailer, that there's a lot of moving parts that we can't per se say we're going to be in this neighborhood. We try and restrict gleans to a 2-hour window because with how busy people are and the number of people working multiple jobs, to have people commit to a full day doesn't tend to work. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Thank you. And Doc Plus?
Oh, yeah. Well, with Cecilia and Carmen, we've floated lots of ideas around together. But again, it's this, we need to find some kind of amazing chef cook that wants to, initiate. We started some trials of different things, but to actually get a program that's going and utilizing, like we have an amazing asset with the community kitchen there. So it should be utilized, and looking at, how could we cost share? How can we create a social enterprise? These are all things that are in process.
Great, thank you. And Director Roth, did you have some?
Yeah, I do have a couple questions. In one of the places that I used to work, they had a center for people to drop in, and I know a number of times gleaned fruit was dropped off and it ended up in the garbage, just so you know. Also, fruits and or fish and loaves, they come to town every couple. Is there a way to coordinate with them? And also, where do you store the fruit?
Wow. Years ago, Mike Rutan did promise a refrigerated truck down at the Harbor Key. That never came to fruition. So fruit is stored. We've got we try and get it out immediately. The Hoop-Hetchisett Community Farm, they got a great big new fridge this year that's outside at the community or the youth center. I'm not sure what they're calling it now. It used to be the youth center. So that has been a spot where we've been able to have some fruit stay. Sometimes it's in my garage, depending on where it is. There is no kind of, the hope is that we pick it and it gets dropped off immediately to the organization that's going to be receiving it. And yes, I am aware. I've actually been at I've been at Dog Mountain having a beer, looking down, going, are they loading up fruit that we gleaned at the Bread of Life into that farmer's truck? So I'm not sure. I mean, the best we can hope for, and that's like the whole idea of taking it one step further and doing post-harvest stuff, is like, how can we ensure that it's not just going to rot and get thrown out? So yeah, I get it. It's a bit heartbreaking.
Thank you for that. Any further comments or questions? Director Coots and then Director Solda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, just kind of a technicality question for you. I know you had mentioned and you had spoke to homeowners specifically. So when it comes to people who rent, do renters need to have a discussion with their landlords, and are you guys only insured to work with the actual owners of said properties?
That's a great question. And yes, for people that are renting their homes, they do need to ask that the person that is on title actually fills out our form that allows us to go onto the property. So.
Awesome, thank you. And then just a follow-up question as well. In terms of volunteers, have you looked into working with the local First Nations who have different warrior groups? There are a number of them who are getting to get their youth together to go out and do different programs like that. Could be a really great educational piece. Just curious of your thoughts on that end. Thanks.
I haven't actually worked with the Warriors programs. Would love to. That would be amazing. I have had the kiddos from, or the older youth from the out at Beaver Creek Hall, it's not homeschooling. Anyways, they've come and done a session for us before. And then we've had workers from the Hoop-Hetchisett Community Farm have come and gleaned. So, but yes, there's got to be some other connections that can be made. Thank you.
That would certainly be a nice change from chopping wood. So yeah. Our warriors do a lot of wood chopping and stacking. So Director Solda, please go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. The dock actually has coolers, so you might want to talk to the Port Authority and see if they can do some kind of working with you on that. And also, how do people contact you if they're interested in volunteering or if they have fruit? And one other thing, if you really are desperate for a driver, my husband knows how to back up. He has a class 3, so he has class 1, so he certainly has a truck too. Thank you.
Well, I do love the fact that you volunteer your husband to do things too, because My husband has fixed and serviced the trailer multiple times. In terms of thanks for the Doc Plus coolers. Your second question was around contact information. Yes, so people can phone, they can email, they can go to our website, they can sign. That's how they register as a homeowner. If they're not able to do it online, they can phone and I'll put the process through for them, and often, go through the waiver form that they need to agree to. So.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to thank you for your presentation. Okay. So next up, we have Mr. Abu Hassan Mohammed Jahangir from the organizing committee of the FIFA activities in the Alberni Valley. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Chair and Board of Directors of ACRD, and giving me a chance to present here. Thank you so much. So is it shared? Okay. I have some sort of visual image. I can see only central. I do not have any surround vision. I'm just acknowledging my limitation. And so for FIFA 2026 initiative, actually, we have started the process to connect with the FIFA authority and soccer association in BC and Canada since 2024. And my first point of contact to reach out about the city involvement or the regional involvement was Director Cindy Isolda. I texted her. That is maybe in 2024, and she introduced me to White Fox. That was the beginning. And I know that Director Susan, her representative was Harley Wiley, who represent in our committee for the initial involvement of because we planned initially for making a friendly match in the beginning of or around whenever the FIFA 2026 would be happened in Vancouver particularly. But later on, like when I move forward with different levels, then the after the visit of the BC Soccer Association and FIFA, then they proposed us to submit a proposal for making Port Alberni as a pre-tournament climatization host community. So that was like the major work. We went through all the process. I'm just giving a short update about that because the current momentum. So like right now, we have done our like primary assessment through Sports Lab, one of the FIFA accredited agencies. And we are in contact with right now only 3 nations after December 2000, like the draw. But before that, we reach out to all the nations like who qualified in different levels. So right now, before holiday starts, we were in touch with Uruguay, New Zealand, and Australia because they were like we are expecting for the technical committee visit, but because everyday situations are changing and after New Year's, everybody will start working. Maybe from middle of maybe 3rd week or 4th week of January, they will start receiving call like what next. So this is the momentum. Now, like whenever we start the process, if you ask myself, I'm not a sports person. I'm rather involved in the business and community involvement and economic development process. So my interest was like to make something unique in the region. And that was from the day one, we have been planning to build a sports and cultural institute in this territory. And because like my findings and also the data in the region is like, so this region is like right now there are development of production houses, means like for filming and shootings. So that is going on. And also the region is full of nature and it's like much suitable for the sports development and the sports economy, building a sports economy, which aligned with the territorial without touching any machine or mechanical involvement or like wastage, like environmental hazardous. So it's like more organical growth with the regional improvement, less like the population, but the more economic boost. So that was my assessment. And that's what we have been working on that. And initially we reach out to the school district and North Island College and University of Victoria to make a framework whether we can make a something, the sports institute, which can like the align with the like academic processes. Like because my inspiration was like I'm giving an example right now. My home country is Bangladesh. So that is a model I'm just presenting right now. Just help me. So any voice or sound? Okay.
What's the
Okay. So
aiming to generate educated accordingly, a plan was passed in 1976 by the National Assembly. Later on, the nomenclature of Bangladesh Institute of Sports changed to Bangladesh Krida Shikha Pratishthan BKSP in 1983. BKSP started students' admission since 14 April 1986, aiming to generate educated players through long-term scientific sports training. Initially, BKSP started admitting students in football and hockey.
maybe I can explain right now. So this BKSP is a complete complex of basically it was a project of one of the American university. They built a project in Bangladesh and it was a residential institute and like the student around the whole country. So like who are the extraordinary kids, like who has different type of skills in different like athletic skills. So they initially they like a team of people, they bring them, but later on the development process starts like the students itself comes to the institute. Right now it's like the fully developed institute. And through that institute, right now they have 1,200 students and they have like soccer, they have cricket, they have like all sorts of like athletics. They produce the like the Olympiads and different type of track, field, everything they have. So which right now through the BKSP, Bangladesh is a position of the cricket, one of the top 10 playing nations in the world, and they made so many superstars in that field particularly, and they are many gold in Commonwealth and the Olympics too. So that is the like the real life example I'm giving. Although it's the least development countries, but still they could make some breakthrough through that type of institute. So what? And next slide. So we want to make it a upgraded version of the BKSP in the Canadian model, and also we say that like we reach out to the indigenous nations, and the nation also supported us, like Pipachasat and Sishat and White First Nations. So they also supported the initiative, and we are here right now, the presenting the fact. And I'm just giving the another example. There is like the making of soccer development center in UBC. So that's what that was a small scale of that institute, although it is part of UBC, but they aim to serve in the 2026 FIFA initiative. They make a quick development of their infrastructure for that purpose. But we are trying to make more than that. So what we can do, like if we can make some sort of like institute here, so there would be geometric growth in the economy. The definitely direct employment, because like the institute means that employment will be there in construction and also the operations activities. And we are trying to make everything international standard. It's like this institute will be certified by FIFA for the soccer, NHL for the hockey, like all international standard. That is our vision. And before that, I'm just telling that whenever we start the process in December, we had the opportunity for the Canada Soccer call for FIFA 2026 initiative, the National Training Center initiative. So they asked for the RFI, request for information, to submit an offer, like which had like the good timely call for us to submit, because so that will the gateway for FIFA 2026 legacy fund, the federal funding, as well as provincial. So it's a national assets. So that they are asking for, like that they will build for a couple of FIFA 2026 initiative. And we are trying to reach out to that chain right now. And the compelling reason why, like we believe that we can be eligible for this offer, because like we invested our time, energy, and make a momentum for FIFA 2026 pre-tournament and acclimatization initiative. Whether a nation will choose us or not, but these things already made a wave into the FIFA community and the Canada Soccer community. So that is our advantage. And then the other thing is that it's a true call for a meaningful impact for the government of Canada for the truth and reconciliation, for supporting indigenous initiative. And that is these two things is important for us for making this project as a compelling project for submission to Canada Soccer. And our deadline is 12th of February. And if these things can happen, so there would be 3 more things that our region can be benefited. One is like if you go through the RFI, then you will find that there is an option for, there is a thing that whether we have a international connectivity access or not. Means like the AVRA will have a right momentum for the right cause for getting a federal infrastructure inclusion, as well as like we need road access. Like we are depending on Highway 4. We'll have an alternate road that you are working on that. So we'll have another compelling reason for those two things. And also our port authority have been working for a long time to make international cruising. That also can impact if we can build a sports institute, or then we can get the RFI supports, like our expression of interest is accepted by Canada Soccer. So those things can work together simultaneously. But our RFI submission deadline is 12th of February. In the meantime, we reach out to the ministry, Secretary of State also responded. We have been scheduled with a meeting on 20th of February, so 20th of January. So one of the policy advisor has been delegated to us. So we also informed them that right now, like whether we need to make the SCRD or like the First Nation chiefs to be present on that meeting, but so she asked for only for the technical brief, but we requested CanWatch to help attend the meeting too.
Okay, thank you. We're a bit over time. I'm wondering if we have a motion to continue, or are you close to the end?
Yeah, just just close to that. So our like if I can mention what we asked and funding about the funding also, the funding model is like basically everything is most of the things are the federal and provincial and the FIFA Legacy Fund, but we are making the like some partnership, the sponsorship package. We reach out to a couple of sponsors, including Island Coastal Economic Trust. They issued a letter of support to us, and also like we reach out to Scotiabank, TD. We are in contact with them for the naming right and those concepts, because that is a part of the package too, and we are compiling all the informations to submit before 12th of February, and we need your supports particularly. So that is like one letter of support to the TGNL, like because we have a plan, because that we need to discuss among other cities as well, because whether we can make some cluster or the satellite development too. Some infrastructure work that already different city has, we can make a part of the package. But we need 40 to 60 acres of land, so that we can discuss. And we need one is a letter of support, another is like for some works we need also a staff involvement can be assigned that to, for example, mapping and the other work that would be great before 12th of February. So these two things are our request. And another thing is that, like, for example, we'll talk to Secretary of State or like the federal or different discussions. Is it possible to assign one board member from SCRD? Whenever we'll start or talk to those people, can someone represent from SCRD?
Okay, I think that's something that we can discuss into the future. Do you have anything else for your presentation, or?
No.
Okay, if you could stop sharing, that would be great, just so I can see the folks online. Okay, does anyone have any comments or questions? Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm trying to understand exactly what you're looking for here, but you're talking about being a training base camp as item 1. Item 2, you're looking to build a whole new sporting facility with a training academy and that kind of thing with 40 to 60 acres of land and a bunch of tax incentives. Is that what you're looking for? 2 separate items?
Yes, 2 separate items. Like
okay.
The first one already we are in a stage of like completion stage, like that is done. You already supported in the first phase, and we are right now we are in the final negotiation of the nations to make it happen. So we are not asking for this one. We are asking for the supports for the Sports Institute, like the submission of the bid document for National Training Center Initiative to Canada.
I think you just confused me more than before. So, okay, I'm on the FIFA website. I'm looking at training base camps, and the date to start this was 2023, and they're already all chosen, and there's 2 in Canada and 24 in the US. In the last 5 days, the teams that are coming over are already saying what training camps are using. So the timing of this is a little bit problematic and later than it should be to be useful. But that being said, I would support a letter of support to do the training camps, but discussing 40 to 60 acres of taxpayers deeded land and everything else is a whole other issue that I don't think has been brought to the board before. Thank you.
The letter of support is something that we can contemplate future considerations around getting some amount of land. That's probably a conversation with the provincial government for Crown land or some other organization that owns that much land. The ACRD doesn't. We don't.
Yeah, we 100% agree with you. Thank you, Chair.
Any further comments? Any other clarifications? No? Okay. on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you for your presentation. And if we're seeking any more questions for clarity, I think we can ask those. So I think we're all good. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
All righty.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, so that brings us to the next agenda item, which is correspondence for action. We have several, actually. First of which is the request for a letter of support regarding Indigenous-led International Sports and Culture Institute, Canada Soccer and National Training Center Initiative. So this is specifically about the presentation. Dr. Roth.
I have an amended motion. Is that okay?
Sure.
I move that the Board of Directors provide a non-binding letter of support to the Alberni Valley Initiative to secure designation as a FIFA 2026 pre-tournament training facility, with the understanding that this support does not commit the board or local taxpayers to any financial, operational, or legal obligations, and that any future agreements be subject to board approval and legal review.
Okay, would anyone like to second that? Director Sola, thank you. Any further comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. So we'll have a letter of support before the deadline. So thank you. All right. That brings us to item B under section 6, which is request for support for proposed name changes in the West Coast area. Anyone like to speak to this? So, oh, there we go. Tom, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Yeah, I was just in consultation and conversation with some of my colleagues and friends up here around this, and just the district of Tofino is aware of this as this was brought forward through correspondence to a number. The district of Tofino at this point hasn't had time as a council to have conversation. There is a generalized support as there was for Tinwis and the renaming of Tinwis. I'm not sure how to proceed with the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District, but from the perspective of even though we haven't had a fulsome discussion on the West Coast out of Tofino, very much in support of these conversations and the changes to some of the place names that are on our charts and maps.
I think the only question I have is, I thought Chesterman Beach was within Nanakoa, was within the Tofino limits. That's not entirely true, or?
Yeah, through the chair. Yes, in terms of the locations within the district of Tofino, how Tloquet lands are defined or conversation ongoing, of course. But my understanding is that you can, like, for example, with the hydrographic services, you can request name changes within those geographical areas that you've appointed to. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure their ability to have that request is valid.
Okay.
If that's where you're going, I think.
A bit. Yeah.
A bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Director McEwen?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Do we know why the Tloquet have chosen these three place names to be changed? Chesterman Beach, Kennedy Lake, and Mears Island. Is the history of those names somehow insulting to them? Do we have any history on that? Not sure if Director Steer can answer that.
What we can do, I don't think there's an answer for you here. What we can do is we can defer this to the next agenda, and then we can have staff inquire with representatives of Tloquet to answer some of those questions or provide a briefing.
I think a little more information would be helpful. Thank you.
Director Cote, and then we'll go to Director Mastrangelo.
Thank you. I'm supportive of this, but I would like some information on the cost of these changes, because it does have a cost to it to change the names on all of our mapping, and just wondering what the impact to staff would be. That's all. But I'm supportive. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Director Mastrangelo?
Can you hear me? I think so.
Yes.
The green
Yep.
is
Yeah, we
on.
can.
Okay. Uh, I am supportive of these changes, although I would like to make sure that the Kennedy Lake, I do know that there is some shared responsibility within the Ucluelet First Nations and their TSL, Treaty Settlement Lands. So I would like to make sure that our Cultural Language Heritage Department has been consulted with properly and agreeing of this name change. And if there is, there could be some shared benefits costs. I do recall there is a heavy section in the provincial government working towards these name changes. So I would like to understand, yeah, how it will be supported financially through that department. And that's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Director Boyko and then finally Director Steer.
Thank you, Chair. I echo the concerns of Director Cote about where this is coming from and the financial that came from the Mayor Ucluelet, but what's the motivation for this? Like, is there a problem with the current name, or just more information on where this is coming from and the background on it? Perhaps the members can come here and talk to us about, why this is something that's come up at this time and why it's required, because there is a financial cost. And it's not just the maps and everything else. There is signage. There's, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars potentially on how to do this. So making that happen. Thank you. And where that's going to come from, because there is only one taxpayer. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Okay, Dr. Steer, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I won't speak to the concerns of Director Cote and Director Boyko. Anecdotally, I can give information, but I think the fears are maybe misplaced. But maybe in response to Director Mastrangelo, if you look on the letter that was sent, you may have noted, I think it is an oversight. That the referencing to the distribution list, and I do not see on that Ucluelet on there. So it may be something that should be brought to their attention in terms of outreach for their comments back. So I don't know how we would inform them of that, but maybe if I'll bring it to your attention. Maybe there's a way to bring that forward.
Yeah. Dr. Cote, did you have a comment? No? Okay. So I would suggest that maybe we move to have a report on this at our next meeting, answer a few questions. Normally speaking, when it comes to this is asking for any comments on the name change. So it's not up to us. It's not up to us to necessarily even say anything about whether we support it or not support it. This is a decision of the province, as far as I can tell, and it's the province's responsibility to gather comments, not just from us, but also from the district, and likely from Monmouth as well. So Levana, I would say that maybe check in with maybe Mark at Monmouth and see if they're aware of this, because it might be going through their office rather than directly through your nations. That may be something that is happening. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the way that we should approach this. If we have any comments, let's just kind of come to the next meeting with what you think your comments would be if all they're doing is seeking comments. So, right, we can have a comment about concerns about the cost, concerns about whether or not there's something wrong with any of these individuals that these places are named after, or, right? And then we can compile those and just bring and send those in. I think that's all we have to do. Dr. Sparrow, please go ahead.
Thank you. I would go for defer too, because it does ask for support as a motion. So, correct? Yeah. So we're just saying if we defer it, then we can have more background, because obviously we have questions that we haven't answered. So sure, I'll move to defer to the next meeting. Is that going to be end of January? Or is that going to be mid-February? End of January, we have? Is that enough time?
Through the chair, January should be fine. They are asking for comments by March. So, I mean, if we're not able to get some clarity for the January, then we'll move to February and we'll still be within the time frame.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Dr. Solda. Yeah. Any further comments? Thank you. Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to item C, which is a watershed security advocacy for communities across British Columbia. So this is looking for a letter to the Premier and select ministers regarding watershed governance and funding. I think this is a good idea. Director Roth.
I would like to include Tishat and Hupechesit because I think naturally they would be very good at this, at watershed governance, and it would be a really good fit. So I would like to somehow include them, please.
Okay, so we should find out whether or not they have a separate process for getting Indigenous membership into the group. This might just be for local government. So maybe we can just inquire about that within our letter. So we'll pretend that's an amendment or an amended motion. Okay. So any further comments? Dr. Siga and then Dr. Cote.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I think this is a really, really important move, but I think that our letter should reflect that we're not just looking for input on watershed management. We want to be the last say in watershed management. Too often we participate in organizations that like, for instance, the national parks will have a border around the national park, then they find minerals in the park. Well, they have enough board members that they can sway the movement of a park boundary. And that's sort of the history of management where it's not local. So I think it's really important in the letter to put that all communities within a watershed and environmental organizations that exist to do research within that watershed should have a seat on a board that manages the watershed. And it should be a governance board that directs all development within that watershed. Sorry, but I got strong feelings on this one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is Dr. Cote.
Thank you. Was that a motion or? Oh, okay, I was gonna make the motion, but I've been lobbying this board for many years to create a water committee. I think that it's super important, and we need to create that so that we can talk to the province. There's a lot of issues that come forward regarding water availability and management. So can I make that motion now? Or
As long as it's kind of informed by what Director Roth had said and considering what Director Siga said, is it the motion as it's presented here, or were you going to present other language?
I was just going to present what was here because it does cover governance and funding regarding we can put what we want into it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It seems like we have the possibility of 3 separate directions on this. So is there a way to come up with a motion that maybe is inclusive of things we would like them to consider?
How about I make the motion and anybody wants to add anything to it, or?
Yeah, we can do it like that then.
But
Okay, so the original motion as it's written here has been moved by Dr. Cote. Could we get someone to second that? Thank you, Dr. Roth. And then Dr. Roth, did you have any amendments to it that you'd like to add?
Yes, I would like to include Tishat and Hupechesit First Nations in all of it because
Just
they
to
cover our
ask that they be
Yeah.
included
Yeah.
in a similar.
Well, when you think about it and their boundaries and where their land is, I mean, that's the watershed.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Okay, is that okay,
yes,
Dr. Cote?
yes,
Yeah.
to include.
Okay, so then maybe we include it there. Dr. Siga, go ahead.
I would just like to see it broadened that the words all communities, including First Nations and environmental organizations, have a seat on this board and have final say in decisions around watershed activity.
Okay, That might be tough going because I think it's an advisory type board. I think the province retains the ability to make the decision.
I like the inclusion of all First Nations.
Like within the
Within the,
watershed.
yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure about having final say.
Yeah, that would need provincial legislation to happen. So I don't know that you're going to have full support for that part, but for all Indigenous, that would work. Director Siga, is that okay?
Yeah, I recognize it's an uphill battle, but ultimately I think that could be an outcome if we keep on trending towards more local say in our watersheds.
Yeah, okay. I would just say it wades into some Crown consultation, Indigenous rights conversations that we may not be prepared to be having, because I don't think Tishat or Hupatchisut or other nations are going to accept that local governments will have an equal say to their constitutionally protected say, right? And so that's
Yeah, not equal say. I'm representation on a board.
yeah, okay, so that might be different then. So let's just restrict it maybe to the representation of the board to be the watersheds where all of the local communities that are within that would make sense. Okay, I don't think that changes what Director Roth was asking for originally anyway. Director Steer, go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to point out within the letter that from Cumberland, we urge the province to take 3 key actions. And one of those key actions, I think, encompasses the motion that you guys are taught that has been discussed, enabling local watershed boards. And within that structure, it talks about watershed boards provide clear direction, enabling local governments and First Nations to lead and coordinate. So it's embedded within the letter that would be sent there. But if we wanted to add more detail, I think it's already covered within the letter that has already been crafted.
Thank you, Director Steer. I think I didn't remember that part. So I think that the letter that was sent by Cumberland already encompasses the First Nations involvement. So we may be able to just have the motion as specifically stated. Go ahead.
Both non-treaty and treaty?
Yeah, I think it just says First Nations. Yeah. Okay, so with that, maybe let's just keep the motion as stated, as Director Cote had suggested, if that's okay, because it already covers the Indigenous aspect. So moved and seconded, that's okay. Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us into items. Oh, Bob, please go ahead. Sorry, I missed you there.
No, I just put my hand up, Chair. I don't know if anyone else attending virtually is having the same volume issue, but on Director Cote's side of the table, it seems to be very weak. I'm hearing everyone else loud and clear, and it doesn't appear to be the directors that are speaking, but the actual technical side of things that are creating a lower audible there.
So if we could check to see if the actual connector cables are tight on those, that's sometimes the case. Dr. McEwen, while we're doing that, please go ahead.
Similar situation for me. I can't hear anything Director Sparrow is saying, and Director Cote is very weak as well. And Director Roth, I barely can hear her as well.
Right. Director Solda, would you like to do a mic test for everyone's benefit?
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay. Director Sparrow?
I'm here. No, I don't know what I got to do.
Is that better, Director McEwen? No, not better? Okay.
Okay, I'm getting closer and closer.
Yeah, that's better.
All right. We'll have to adopt the podcaster rule where the microphone's not really much farther than your fist or your hand, and then just make sure you're close enough. because it might just be certain mics are not as sensitive anymore because we've had them for a while now, right? So, Director Steer, please go ahead.
Yeah, I've been having no issues except when Director Sparrow faces the chair and is not speaking directly into the mic, and that's the only time that I've been. Otherwise, I'm hearing everyone perfectly.
We'll get you one of those motivational speaker ones that just is like a headset. Okay. All right, so that's been moved and seconded. We are at 10-3. So we'll continue trucking along because I think we need to, but at some point I may call a recess, but not right now. We'll get through some other items first. Okay, so that brings us to correspondence for information. These are just correspondence for information. We do have a motion at the end that just lets us receive that, but unless anybody wants to pull anything up for discussion, please go ahead. Would anyone like to move to receive? Thank you, Dr. Solda, seconded by Dr. Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, that brings us into item 8, which are requests for decisions and bylaws. So first up is item 8A, a request for decision regarding the secondary route and emergency route engagement strategy. Mike, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'll provide a brief overview here. So this report was originally considered by the Transportation Committee on December 16th, and the committee made 2 recommendations to the board. And first, to approve the lobbying strategy, and second, to allocate staff resources to coordinate establishing an emergency route and work towards a viable secondary route that is open year-round. To achieve this, we would advance with consensus building and a lobbying plan, including preparation of a summary report, request a meeting with key partners to build a unified vision, and the inclusion of feedback and guidance from the partners will be included in the report, as well as hiring a lobbying consultancy to help with moving this up through the provincial ranks. Key messaging: it is important to highlight the region currently relies on a single primary highway for access. This creates significant vulnerability during emergencies, natural disasters, or prolonged closures, which impact public safety, economic stability, and community resilience. I think it's important to identify some key priorities for 2026, and this would include drafting the summary review report that identifies the top choices for an emergency route. That has been quite a bit of discussion with the committee, and while our route hasn't been picked, we want to get feedback from other community members as well and partners. And then to present the report to all the partners across the region, and then in accordance with their preferred approach. This could be a letter, a presentation, etc. And then, the goal is to achieve a shared letter of support from all of the partners within the region for advancing a single preferred route. And hire a lobbying consultancy to coordinate these efforts, the efforts of the region towards achieving an agreed upon secondary route. And core messaging, I think it's important to focus on safety and resiliency. A redundant access is essential for emergency response. Focusing on the economic imperative. Highway 4 disruptions can cost upwards of $60 million in one event. We've seen that happen already. As well as the new economic opportunities working with First Nations and including their economic visions in this plan. Co-development and consistent community messaging and reconciliation goals, I think, are really important through this. This is something we've looked at for a long time. It was discussed at the committee. Different routes have been looked at, but I think it's really important to have some consensus from the community on one route. And then readiness, emergency detour route activation needs to be able to happen within hours. And the lobbying strategy is attached as Appendix A, and I will stop there, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Mike. Any questions or comments? Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Quite the plan. I'm looking forward to seeing what the group can come together and bring forward. I think it's going to hinge on that. And just I've never been a part of hiring a lobbying consultant in the 22 years I've been here. So that's something new. So can you maybe expand on that a little bit more? We've always had the chair and staff bringing forward any lobbying in the past. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, certainly there are the standard discussions that I'm also familiar with, that you're familiar with. However, once we do have a shared vision, and it really does pivot on having a shared vision, there's no point in pushing the province to take action if our own region is split in terms of what it is that we'd like to achieve. So once we have that shared vision, the lobbying, the reason why we'd be looking at hiring a lobbying firm is that the familiarity with both provincial and federal workings is essential. It's not just up to one ministry when you're looking at some of these initiatives. We do know that in some cases we're working with treaty nations, in other cases we're working, well, both treaty and non-treaty nations that have active files in different ministries in different places. We do know that there's different groups that are making decisions. We now know that the province actually has a structure whereby even if one ministry prioritizes something, it has to go through infrastructure and be approved prior to. So there are more complexities, and we would rather be guided in an efficient way to talk to the right people at the right place, the right time. That would be way more cost effective than trying to get staff to navigate those waters on the side of their desk.
Thank you. Director Haggard and then Director Roth.
Thank you, Chair Jack. I'm very thrilled and excited that we have finally gotten to this point. I know it's been a long time coming. Strategically and economically, this route does make the most sense, and I'm happy we're moving forward. However, I'm sure my father-in-law is rolling over in his grave right now, but sorry, Charlie.
All right, thank you very much. Director Roth.
I was just going to comment that I found a listing online of all the lobbyist groups, and I've seen organizations in town and First Nations too using the lobbyist group. So it's probably the way things work more now. I don't know.
Thank you for that prompt because it's a perfect segue. So in Huu-ay-aht, we have worked with PR groups and GR groups, so public relations and government relations groups. That's what lobbyists are called nowadays. Going back to about 2013, 2014, when we were involved in liquefied natural gas and all that sort of thing. We've gotten a lot more traction working with GR firms when interacting with both the federal government, which is where we started, but then also the provincial government. And so I do think that this is increasingly the way to do it, because getting into the right places to have conversations is a lot more intensive than just the chair or the vice chair just kind of calling and asking for meetings. This is something where we need experts who can identify the right assistant deputy ministers, the right chiefs of staff, the right deputy ministers, the right times to try to talk to ministers themselves, and moving those forward in a way that is managing the disparate nature of all the groups that would be involved in this discussion. Because this isn't just the ECRD, this is the city, this is First Nations, this is other stakeholder groups as well. And so managing those conversations, managing those voices can't be something that we just foist on Daniel or me or Mike Fox or whoever, because we need someone who is part of their job is to manage all of those different parties and their input and hold the file. And that's a tall order. So it's asking a lot of somebody who already has a lot of responsibility. So hiring a GR firm does make sense. And Huu-ay-aht has enough experience with GR firms that I can tell you whether or not somebody's asking for too much money. So I think, yeah, I think there's some help there. Director Cote, and then we'll go to Director Becker.
Thank you. Just to follow up. So who would be taking the lead on this, or would there?
So the idea would be to convene, and it's in the strategy, is to convene a group of people who are willing to have the discussion. It needs to be facilitated. And then once we decide on a route and a course of action, and we can commit to it, then we have the GR firm help us enact that. But the reason why having a GR firm do it rather than any one of the parties is because relying on one party to speak for everyone is a tall order sometimes. And so can the ACRD and the city rely on one of the chief counselors to handle that file, or vice versa? It's better just to have a third party kind of be the ones who handle setting up the meetings, handle the administrative briefing, pre-meeting briefs, meetings themselves, the debriefs afterwards, so that we're all on the same page as to, like, after each interaction, we know what the next steps are. And having a company do that know what they're doing is worthwhile, I think. Go ahead.
So I'm just still trying to grasp like who's going to be the lead. Would the province?
No, we would be lobbying them. So
Okay,
so
they've
we
given us assistance in the past to bring us all together. So I'm just wondering if that would like
Yeah,
will this run through the regional district as an umbrella for it all to happen, or because I'm just trying to figure out how that's all going to work.
so it is in the strategy. Mike, do you want to kind of talk about? You can.
If I can help, this whole initiative was based on the premise that the ACRD would be coordinating. And so, and this is why we're identifying the staff hours associated with that coordination up to 0.4, right? So once, assuming we get through all of those steps, when we get to the selection of a lobbying firm, at that point, we need to create a new plan with that firm. Now I say lobbying, GRPR, it's probably more appropriate, but I'm old school on the language. And so anyway, I do apologize for that. But I think your question is, the answer to your question is the ACRD is coordinating these efforts, and the hours that we feel are associated with that coordination are identified in the report. And it's roughly 200 hours, just shy of that.
Yeah, but the actual interactions with the government is specialized. The government's is going to be specialized work, which is why that's that step at that point. Director Beckett and then Director Boyko.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to a comment from Director Hager that it is time to get on with taking action and addressing this and getting an emergency access route and opening up for discussions for something more permanent. So with that comment, my comment, and I recognize that Director Boyko has his hand up as well. I am prepared to move the motion that's in front of us now, and happy to do that if you would like, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so I'll read it out, but Director Solda has agreed to second it. It's that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors, 1, approve the lobbying strategy and direct staff to implement immediate next steps as identified in the December 16th, 2025 report. 2, allocate the identified staff time in the 2026 budget to create a vision consensus toward achieving a coordinated regional lobbying effort to request the province of BC to A, establish an emergency access route as an immediate priority, and B, continue a phased approach for a viable secondary access road highway that is open year-round. So that's the motion. Moved and seconded. Comments will go right to Director Boyko. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think fundamentally I have some concerns about the lobbying because we're asking a company to talk to government because they can do a better job than government talking to government, and we're using taxpayer funds to do that. When on a regular basis, we talk to our provincial MLA and our federal MP or whatever, and interagencies, and we don't do a good enough job that we have to hire a company to do it for us. I think fundamentally that is a problem, and that's why those lobbying companies exist. Now, we've been trying to get this secondary road for over 100 years, and we've had 2 years of this transportation committee, and now we have a statement coming out of them to say that we want this to happen. So what have we actually done in the past 2 years to get to this point where we need to spend $75,000 to talk to the government And what will be different now than anything that we have done in the past 100 years to have this thing happen? We all want it to happen, but we want to know what's going to be different now so that something actually takes place and we have something concrete that actually happens. Thank you.
Yeah, to answer that, in the 200 hours of staff time and the coordination that would be happening, we would have all of the interested parties within the region to sit down and agree on the 2 points of what an immediate emergency route looks like and what the year-round secondary access route must look like. No more kvetching about whether or not we're going to go with this one or this one. We're going to pick one and go with that. And everyone agrees and everyone supports it and go from there. And then second is to actually use a GR firm to be more effective in building a consensus, because we have to not only convince our MLA or the transportation minister, which is a lot, but we're going to have to convince the Treasury Board as well as cabinet to go with that as well. So we have to understand decision making at a provincial level, and there are a lot of administrative roadblocks that can be thrown up by deputy ministers, assistant deputy ministers, chiefs of staff. It's very easy to play for time. And if somebody doesn't want to do something, they're not going to tell you no. They're just going to keep the ball rolling and slow roll you forever, which is par for the course for the Indigenous world. So I think that's why this is thought of as a good strategy, because you're right, it should work differently. It doesn't. So we should act accordingly. Go ahead, Fred.
So 2 follow-ups. So yes, I think it should work properly that government can talk to government. And why do we assume that a private corporation can get better access to a government person than we can ourselves? Step 1. Step 2 is, like I said, we've had 2 years of this transportation committee going through specific routes, and I've been watching what they've been doing. Have they not picked a route yet and defined it yet? Or do we still have to revisit all that? And this is going to take another couple of years before we go through that process. I mean, there's only a couple of routes to choose from. Why have we not made that decision? And that's going forward now. Like, we just keep spinning our wheels here. Thank you.
Just on the second part, the delay has been waiting for the province to do their initial report. So the step 1 in everything that we're going to do is the province offered to do the assessment and the comparison of all the possible routes in and out of the valley. And they did that. They completed that. When it was completed, at first it was supposed to be done in the December of 2024. It was delayed to February and we waited. It was then further delayed to April and we waited, and it was then further delayed to July. It was completed in July of 2025. And then once we had that information, we had Mount Underwood. So then we delayed our meeting. And by the time we got to actually have our committee sink their teeth into the details of that report, we were in September or a bit later. I forget the exact date. And here we are today. Now, we needed that information because it helped us identify some of the core considerations that the province, as the Ministry of Transportation, would look at in what route they would likely support and likely invest in. And things like the terrain, single lane, 2 lanes, ownership, all of this was considered in the report. And so the committee just recently had the opportunity to, like I said, sink their teeth into that and have the consideration of that. And coming out of that, we ended up with these recommendations where it's like, okay, our committee has a lot of people on it, but realistically, if we're going to get an agreed upon vision, a lot of this has to be brought back to appropriate councils, whether that be chief and council or mayor and council across the region, to make sure that they have also had their opportunity to talk about the details in front of them and to ensure that we're moving forward. Now, there's a lot of history. Like you said, we've been working at this in one way, shape, or form for 100 years. I don't know about the 100, but I have heard the 20 or more. And with that, there are a lot of existing perspectives and I would say legacy promises that people are holding on to, that, the province back in 1982 said that they were going to do this. And then in 1999, they said they were going to do that. And so we do have a lot of legacy discussions. And the reason why those are important, and I'm pleased that the committee identified them, is that those are ripe and they exist in our community. And so rightfully, the committee has said, hey, in all this work, yes, we're going to go talk to different political bodies within the region, but we have to make sure that we're bringing our own community with us and that they know that we've heard these perspectives. And so there's an awful lot for us to work through, and the committee has worked through those details. The unfortunate part is the delay in waiting for that first piece of key information from the province. But I don't think that our estimates are wrong in terms of the outreach work and dialogue that has to occur from here on in to firm up a singular vision. And there is no point in investing in this if we can't get to a singular vision, because the province is not going to invest in something that's heated, contentious, and divisive. And so we've got to do the heavy lifting of building that consensus.
Any follow-up, Director Boyko, before we go to Director Solda?
No, I think that's a good explanation, but at the same time, all I'm going to hear this afternoon is the disappointment from the taxpayers that this is taking so long and we need to put more and more money into it. Thank you.
Oh, no, that's fair, but that's how it is, I think. Director Solda, please go ahead.
Well, I'll take a lead on that one. 2002, I've been working on this, and I've been on transportation committees and hearing the same thing, and the frustration actually took the roots and in the past, but times have changed, and it was really hard for me to go with some of the routes because I'm so used to hearing about the past routes and stuff like that. I'm just kind of curious to know if this board got the information from the province that we all got on the transportation committee when they did the report to the transportation committee, they actually took all the past studies and kind of consolidated them and updated them. And I'm just kind of curious to know if that went out, and you can answer that after here. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. And you're most welcome again to come to the February 24th transportation meeting, which will be the next one at 1:30 here. A potential, as far as I know, it could change. You never know. And it's frustrating. And I understand, Director Boyko, where you're feeling how long it's taken. Try it from 2002 and out there's a lot of the old guard, I call it the old guard, who have sat on the transportation committee, and they have taken the routes and they have their opinions, and everybody's entitled to that, but times have changed and we need to go with and dollars have changed, so it's going to cost more for different things, so we have to look at cost too. So I just thought I'd bring that forward.
All right, thank you. Dr. Haggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In response to Director Boyko's concerns, I just want to say that we expect a lot from our staff and they have a lot on their plate. This project is going to be almost a full-time endeavor, and they're going to have to spend a lot of hours, a lot of time, and put a lot of energy into it. I just don't think that staff right now has the capacity to do that. In reality, not one of us sitting around this table are experts at talking to provincial representatives. Some people are better than others, but it's very intricate and it's very complex. So we need an expert that knows how to navigate that provincial system. And none of us are experts at building a highway. We need somebody that has that kind of knowledge on what the steps are going to be and put them in the right order. So thank you.
Okay, so I took Director Boyko's comments as more of a criticism of the province and the political system provincially than anything. And I think that's probably accurate. It would be good if the province was more responsive to local concerns, but I think a lot of the system is set up to delay and allow for time for the province to choose what they want to do without having to say no to anybody. And that's probably par for the course. But we can navigate that well. I think I'm going to limit comments from now on. Okay. In regards to the amalgamation of the studies.
It went to the transportation committee, not to the board. The board will receive the full report when we are moving forward. So that's part of next steps.
Okay, thank you. Actually, no further comments. Yeah, I think we're okay. All those in favor of the motion as presented? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the next item, which is item B, bylaw E1067. Heather, please go ahead.
Thank you. So the report in front of you is the final step in repealing the Mountain Ranch Road and Granville Road Fire Protection Services. As way of reminder, these are redundant services that are no longer required as the Beaver Creek Fire Protection Area encompasses both of these areas. The board gave 3 readings to these repeal bylaws in October, and we recently just received the provincial approval that we were waiting for. So the board today is being asked to adopt these 2 bylaws.
Thank you. And they have to be separate motions. Director Roth?
Sure. I move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors adopt bylaw number E1067 Mountain Ranch Road Fire Prevention and Suppression Service Area Established Bylaw Repeal 2025.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Coots. Any comments? Director Boyko, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that these are actually in the Beaufort area, but it doesn't matter who puts the motion forward. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Do
Okay.
you want to
Hey, he can do the next one. Okay, moved and seconded. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Do you want to do the next one, Director Boyko?
Thank you, Chair. I'll make a motion that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors adopt bylaw number Echo 1068 Granville Fire Road Protection and Suppression Service Area Establishment Bylaw Repeal 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. And seconded by Director Roth. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, thank you. That brings us to item C, which is the Accessibility Committee recommendations. Please go ahead, Heather.
Thank you. So the Accessibility Committee met in December and discussed 2 accessibility concerns. The committee has requested that the board send letters to the relevant ministers to address these concerns. So the first one is related to accessibility at Cathedral Grove. So currently the washrooms are inaccessible for wheelchair users due to concrete parking blocks. The park also becomes inaccessible when vehicles back up against the concrete barriers. We did engage with staff at Ministry of Environment and Parks, but staff there indicated that improvements are not possible at this time, given the limitations in the parking lot next to the highway. And as way of reminder, the board sent a letter to the ministers at Ministry of Transportation and to the Ministry of Environment and Parks in October, but we have not received a response yet. And the second concern raised by the Accessibility Committee is related to the frustrations with the lack of occupational therapy services in the region due to staff shortages. So committee members have experienced significant delays in getting assessed and fitted for a wheelchair due to the lack of occupational therapists. So the committee has requested that the board send a letter to Island Health requesting that they provide ongoing funding for the use of contract occupational therapists during staff shortages.
Thank you. Would anyone like to address these motions? Director Solda?
I wasn't going to address it. I was actually going to move the motion that is presented. Okay, I move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors send letters to the Minister of Environment and Parks and to Island Health regarding accessibility concerns in the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District area.
Great, thank you. Seconded by everyone. Director Sparrow, any further comments? My suggestion would be to CC the critics as well, but I don't know. That's usually what I would do just for pressure. Okay. Okay. No further comments. Great. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to item D, Board Remuneration Review Committee 2026. Please go ahead, Heather.
Okay, thank you. So every 4 years during election year, the board forms a board remuneration committee to review the board's remuneration expenses and benefits provided to ACRD directors. The committee recommendations will be provided to this board, and any changes to remuneration will be in place for the newly elected board after October. So today I'm asking the board to reconfirm the board remuneration review policy, which is included in your agenda package. Highlights of the policy include that the committee will consist of 3 independent members. 2 are previous regional district directors, and the 3rd member is from the community, a member at large. Staff will solicit the member at large through advertising in the community, and then we'll bring these names forward to the board to appoint these 3 members at an in-camera meeting in March. So the committee will then meet over the next few months and they'll make their recommendations to the board before the end of July. Their recommendations will be reviewed by the board via a bylaw, and then they will be effective for November 1st for the new board. So today's meeting, I'm just asking the board to reconfirm the policy or request any changes and direct staff to commence the process to appoint members to this committee by advertising. And if you have a good candidate in mind for the member at large, I would encourage you to reach out to them and put their name forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to move this? Dr. Roth?
I was just going to make a comment that I really like where they consider implications to elected officials with respect to the changes to CRA tax exemption. Thank you. But I don't mind making the motion. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Okay, one sec here. What page was that on?
I can read it out for you.
Yeah, that'd be
It's
good.
that the Urban and Clyde Regional District Board of Directors reconfirm the board remuneration review policy as presented and instruct staff to commence the process to appoint members to the 2026 Board Remuneration Review Committee, including putting out a call for submissions for a member at large to sit as a volunteer on the 2026 Board Remuneration Review Committee.
Yeah.
So moved and seconded by Director Coots. Thank you. Any further comment? Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. In the past, there's been an opportunity for board members to speak to the panel. Wondering if that's going to be available. Thanks.
Yes. Yes, we will have an opportunity.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that brings us to item E, appointment of election officers, 2026 general local election. Heather, please go ahead.
Thank you. So as you all know, it's election year, so we've recently begun work on preparing for the October 7th election. We will also be conducting the School District 70 trustee elections. The request in front of you today is to appoint Cynthia Dick as Chief Election Officer and myself as Deputy Chief Election Officer.
Would anyone like to move that? Thank you. So moved, Director Solda. Seconded by Director Roth. Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, Tanya, you're up next for item F, letter of support for the Alberni Valley Makerspace Society. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So Makerspace is a local organization that operates out of the 3rd Avenue Depot. They're a community hub for innovation, repair culture, and resource recovery, and their programs directly align with ACRD waste diversion goals. Makerspace frequently applies for grants to bring new innovative projects to Alberni Valley. The grant applications often have quick turnaround times. Therefore, Makerspace has requested a general letter of support from ACRD to accompany their grant applications so that they can quickly and easily demonstrate their successful partnership with ACRD. The recommendation is to sign the proposed letter of support for Makerspace to include in their grant applications. And I'd like to acknowledge that Michael Moore from Makerspace is present in the gallery. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Director Roth, please go ahead.
I just love what they do, so I'd be more than happy to make this motion that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors approve the attached letter of support for the Alberni Valley Makerspace Society, Makerspace in brackets, to support grant applications.
Seconded by anyone, everyone, Director Sparrow, Director Boyko. Did you have comment, Director Boyko? No? Oh, you just wanted a second. Okay. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Alrighty. Well, thanks for being here. We like to turn the heat down so everyone stays awake. Yeah. All right. Okay. Item G is bylaw 1033. Tanya, please go ahead.
Yeah, so this is for the compost sales increase on the West Coast. At the December 3rd, 2025 West Coast Committee meeting, the committee recommended approval of a resolution to increase the sale price of Sort and Go compost on the West Coast from $50 per yard to $100 per yard. The current rate of $50 per yard was set as an initial price point to support the new product, promote the product, and gain awareness of the benefits in the community. The quality of the products in 2025, the reviews, and the speed of sales would suggest that the compost sale price could move to a more competitive rate. The proposed $100 per yard sale price would enable better cost recovery for the sort and grow compost program while still maintaining a cost that's below other local compost vendors to keep it affordable for local gardeners. In addition to the sort and grow compost sale increase, the report also includes updates to the category descriptions and definitions in bylaw R1033 in order to better identify and define what qualifies as organic waste. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Dr. Steer.
Yeah, I see there's comments from Director Boyko. Maybe I was gonna, maybe I'll let Director Boyko speak, and then I'll
we'll come back to you, Dr. Boyko.
I'm okay if he wants to put the motion forward, but my main question is, you get 100% price increase, but there's nothing about what the costs are to. We're saying we want to increase cost recovery, and I feel like if I was a person on the West Coast that was buying this and my price went up 100%, I'd be like, oh, hey, what's going on here? So that's my concern. Thank you.
Daniel, do you want to cover that?
Would you like me to speak to that?
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah, so I think on this one, what is important is that we did do a cost comparison analysis to other local vendors of compost. And what we found was that the $100 is still below the cost that other compost vendors are charging. For example, OCN is charging, I'm trying to find my paper. Well, the premium compost that was compared to premium compost that sells for up to $225 per yard. The compost coming out of West Coast landfills, grade A compost. And then the local OCN market is charging compost in smaller bags, but the price per liter equates to, or per yard equates to about $300 per yard. So we're raising it from 50 to 100, which still keeps it far below other local competitors, keeping it affordable. And I think the other item on that is that currently the cost for the compost is covered by the organics tipping fees plus revenues from the compost sales. And then it's being sort of subsidized with $60K from a whole different bucket, which is a 3-stream program bucket of money. And all of that equates to the 136 that it costs to run it. So by increasing it from 50 to 100, it stays low in cost. It's more competitive to reflect the quality of the compost. But also it will open up $30K in that general funding bucket that can go towards other infrastructure and capital improvements at the landfill. And in that way, it will improve the cost recovery. So it's more compost program dollars being generated to go directly back into the compost program rather than pulling from other buckets, if that makes sense.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So if I was a person in Tofino Ucluelet, then I wanted to drop off my compost, my organics, and then pick it up as compost, I would get charged to drop it off and charged to get it as well.
You're being charged through the 3-stream program. It's part of the 3-cart program. So in that way, yes, you're getting charged to participate in the compost program. And then when you do go to pick it up, you would get charged. But we do have a bucket program where it's $5 for a 5-liter bucket. So you don't have to buy the whole yard.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like the bylaw here includes all 3 readings plus adoption. So Dr. Steer, if you'd like to read out the first one, then you can just say second, third reading adoption after. But
thank you through the chair that the Alberni-Clarkwa Regional District Board of Directors give first reading to bylaw R1033-9 amendment West Coast landfill tipping fee and regulation bylaw 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Sparrow. Any further comments? Dr. Sparrow, please go ahead.
Thank you for that. Hope you can hear me this time. So my question is, this is change in the direction, but any other tipping fees changed this year, or is this the end of it? Is all going to stay the same this year? No increases for any other tipping fees?
We're looking at a few other increases. As you all know, the West Coast landfill is pretty short on funds, so we're going to be evaluating, off the top of my head, one that comes to mind is we're going to be evaluating the residential tipping fees for municipal solid waste, which is currently at 150, but it hasn't been raised in quite a while. And at a minimum, it should be keeping up with CPI. So I'll return to you with that one later in the year, and possibly some others as we evaluate as well.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of first reading? Okay. All opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Move second reading.
We have a seconder. Thank you, Director Roth. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Okay, motion carried.
And I'll move third reading.
Seconded by Director Cote. Any further comments? Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just wondering, how will we be putting this out, advertising that this cost is coming forward? Thanks.
Go ahead.
We have standard engagement practices that we use. We use social media platform. We have a contract with the consultant to do engagement and outreach, and we can certainly use them to push some messaging out in addition to any, well, let's see, it would be going up in February. So probably primarily via social media would be our primary way of reaching people.
Director Boyko?
So moving forward, to avoid situations like this where we have huge cost increases after the start of the project, which if a business did this, it could be called bait and switch marketing, where you had cheap costs and then, oh my God, when I go there, it's twice the price. We should work towards having a better cost up front so that we have a good starting point so we avoid this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Boyko. Any further comments? So this is for third reading. All those in favor? All opposed? And motion carried.
And I'll move adoption.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so that brings us into a, let's call it a 5-minute break. And we'll come back at, actually, no, we'll make it 7 minutes. We'll come back at 3:40, please. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. We'll be starting pretty soon, folks.
You guys hear me in there?
Yep, loud and clear.
1911 Horton Lake and Alberni Road survey was completed to preserve a corridor for future development. It was never constructed as a fully developed public highway. So yeah, I remember reading it and I just looked it up again. So over 100 years, they've been looking for an alternative way out of this valley and documented. Thank you.
When they did the surveying with actual chains. Yeah, yeah. So
That's all our properties out here are all surveyed with that. Pins are still in the ground.
yeah.
When you put it in that context, we've been doing incredibly fast work over the last 2 years.
The speed of
be
local
surprised how
the speed of local government has not improved in 121 years.
I can't remember what the rule is or who made the rule, but it's what work expands to fill the time allotted to it. So okay, so we're welcome back, everyone. This brings us to item H. So thanks for waiting, Eddie. This is Beaver Creek Water System rate increase. So thank you, and please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. The item in front of you today relates to the Beaver Creek Water System Rates and Regulations bylaw. As outlined in the report, staff are recommending amendments to bylaw number F1148 to address increased operating costs resulting from the interim bulk water agreement with the City of Port Alberni. The proposed bylaw amendment would increase the quarterly water rates by 20% effective April 1st, 2026. This adjustment would raise the single-family residential and trailer court rates from $180 to $216 per quarter, and secondary services and commercial connections from $205 to $246 per quarter. This increase is expected to generate approximately $157,000 in additional annual revenue, which will offset the approximate $160,000 increase in operating costs under the new bulk water agreement. Rates were last adjusted for inflation only in 2025, and this change is necessary to maintain the financial stability and service level for the Beaver Creek system. The Beaver Creek Water Advisory Committee discussed this increase in detail at the December 11th meeting and recommended moving forward with the 20% increase as the best way to offset the bulk water purchase cost increase. Staff will continue to review long-term funding strategies and bring forward future recommendations as necessary. Today, we are seeking first, second, and third readings, as well as adoption of bylaw number F1148-5.
All right, thank you for that. Dr. Roth, I'm pretty sure this is Beaver Creek.
Yeah, that other one was my mistake
yeah,
too.
no, okay.
Because it
Please,
was Beaver Creek.
yeah, please go ahead.
So the typical household, would that be like $144 a year? Is that right, Eddie? Like 36 per quarter, or I can't remember. Is it quarterly that we do?
Yes, and through the chair, yes, 144 for a single family residential annually.
Okay, thank you. It's a lot, but what are we going to do? We have no choice, really. So I'll make the motion that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors give first reading to bylaw number F1148-5, Beaver Creek Local Service Area Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Sparrow. Any further comments? Dr. Boyko, please go ahead.
Just an overall general comment. When this first came up, when it was canceled from the city last year, the total increase was predicted to be in the low single digits. I remember 3, 4, 5%, something like that, as the overall cost increase. So I'm quite surprised that when we actually come to adopt this change, that it's actually 20%. And I'm sure the residents of Beaver Creek would be a little bit happy about that as well. But I remember it being quite a bit lower on the percent increase, but I'm just surprised to see it at 20%. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Any further comments? Director Sparrow and then Director Roth.
Thank you. Well, I know we do increases here, but I think we do it every 3 years. What is it, Beaver Creek? Why don't we do them yearly? Like we do it for the tipping fees and that, because what happens, it usually gets these bigger increases. Why don't we do it every year, like a CPI increase, something, so we're not hitting these big lumps in 3 or 4 years. Thank you.
Okay, that's something that we can incorporate into future budgeting planning, maybe? Yeah. Dr. Roth, please go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that this was strictly due to the city upping their rates and taking away the bulk water agreement. So this is to put it back in place temporarily, perhaps. One of the things we're going to be doing in Beaver Creek is in the next meeting that we have with the public, that we do like our town hall meetings, we're going to be discussing water because of this and Beaver Creek water. But anyways, I'll make the next motion. Oh, sorry. Have you voted?
Oh, we haven't voted yet, so we'll do that now. All those in favor of first reading? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay, second reading.
We have a seconder. Thank you, Director Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Third reading.
Seconded by. Thank you, Director Sparrow. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
And finally, to adopt the bylaw.
Great, and seconded by Director Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, so that brings us to item I, Millstream Water System Rate Increase. Eddie, please go ahead.
Thank you again, Chair. So the next item relates to the Millstream Water System Rates and Regulation Bylaw. Staff are recommending an amendment to bylaw number F1144 to implement a 3% inflationary adjustments to the quarterly water rate, again effective April 1st, 2026. This change would increase the rate from $300 to $309 per quarter for all classifications. This adjustment reflects inflation since the last rate increase in April 2025 and will generate approximately $1,800 in additional annual revenue. These funds help maintain alignment with operational maintenance costs and support contributions to the capital reserve. This increase was supported by the West Coast Committee at its December 3rd, 2025 meeting. Rates were last adjustment following recommendations from the asset management plan process, which is still being finalized. Future adjustments will be considered once long-term funding targets are confirmed. Staff are again seeking first, second, and third readings, as well as adoption of bylaw number F1144-3 today. Thank you.
Good report. Thank you. Director Siga, do you want to take this? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors give first reading to bylaw number F1144-3, Millstream Water Local Service Area Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director McEwen. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
And I'd like to give a second reading to bylaw number F1144-3, Millstream Water Local Service Area Rates.
Thank you. Seconded by Director McEwen. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, motion carried.
And I'd like to give third reading to bylaw number F1144-3, Millstream Water Local Service Area Rates.
Thank you. Seconded by Director McEwen. Thank you for that. All those in favor? Motion carried.
And I'd like to move that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional Board of Directors adopt bylaw number F1144-3, Millstream Water Local Service Area Rates and Regulation Amendment Bylaw 2026.
And seconded by Director McEwen. Thank you. All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item J. Terry, this is bylaw A1085-2. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So presented today for your consideration is an amendment to the ACRD Officers Appointment and Delegation Bylaw for two reasons. The first being the assignment of authority when either the CFO, myself, or the General Manager of Administrative Services, Cynthia, is away. Currently, the authority is actually transferred up to Daniel, but this bylaw was created before both Cynthia and I had a deputy role or a manager that supports our departments. So staff are recommending that we change the authority to be transferred onto the deputies, or the managers, I should call them. And then the second component is to, the amendment is because we want to align it with the newly adopted procurement policy. So currently the CAO is the only employee who has authority to sign contracts, no matter the size or value. and leases and other agreements. So this proposed change would see both myself and Cynthia as GM of Admin Services or Corporate Officer being delegated the authority to sign within our purchasing limits that are outlined in the policy, which are currently $50,000 for myself and $35,000 for Cynthia. And then obviously when we are in the acting role, when Daniel is away, we would then have his authority levels. But just looking for an adoption of the bylaw today to make those changes. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, or motions? Director Roth, please go ahead.
I'll make the motions.
First reading is Alberta and Clark Regional District Board of Directors give first reading to the bylaw cited as bylaw A 1085-2, Alberta and Clark Regional District Officers Appointment and Delegation Amendment 2026. So moved and seconded by Dr. Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Just want to keep it rolling.
Second reading.
Second reading, seconded by Dr. Sparrow. Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Third reading. All right, thank you, Dr. Roth. Seconded by Dr. Sparrow. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. And finally, adoption. Thank you, Dr. Roth. Seconded by Dr. Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item K, Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw F1173.
Thank you. So this is an annual housekeeping bylaw to provide authority to the finance department to have the purchase cards for operations, as well as it is a tool for managing cash flow in advance of us receiving the majority of our revenues in August. And so looking for adoption of this bylaw today.
All right, thank you. Dr. Solda, please go ahead.
Move to adopt. Do you want them each read or move to adopt's good?
Yeah, you just say first reading.
Okay, I'll move first reading.
Thank you. And seconded by Dr. Cote. Any further comments? Seeing none. I say this every year, but I appreciate what the item is called because then people will know what it is we're doing. So, okay. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Motion carried.
Move second reading.
Okay. Seconded by Dr. Roth. Thank you. Comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay. Motion carried.
And move third.
Third reading. Seconded by Dr. Coots. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
And move the adoption of the bylaw.
And seconded by Dr. Cote. Thank you. Any further comments? Comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, that brings us to item L, proposed initiative cases, otherwise known as PICs. Terry, please go ahead.
Thank you. So this report is a continuation of the proposed initiative cases or PICs from December 10th, 2025. Today, we're going to discuss 3 additional PICs that are now ready for board consideration. The first being Sprout Lake Incorporation study, and then the referendum for Cherry Creek Community Hall grant and aid and leasing of external office space. If it's okay with the chair, I think we'd be best to go for each separately. And Cynthia is actually going to present the Sprout Lake Incorporation study concept.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so Director Cote has requested that Electoral Area D, Sprout Lake Incorporation, be added to the 2026 work plan. Electoral Area Incorporation was discussed at the following meetings, and we did link the reports in the RFD, or in the PIC, sorry. Report was brought to the June 19th, 2024 Electoral Area Directors Committee meeting. I would like to note that there was an error in this report, noting that the residents had decided not to move it to a referendum, but it was actually the working group that was overseeing the incorporation study. There was also a presentation by the Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs at the September 11th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting regarding governance restructure grants, and a report was brought to the August 27th, 2025 Board of Directors meeting on Electoral Area Incorporation. So these reports help to outline what the process and steps are for incorporation. In 2007, Sprout Lake completed the Sprout Lake Municipal Incorporation Study Technical Report. At that time, as mentioned, it was decided not to move forward with the next step of conducting a referendum. The ministry has stated that because the study was completed over 18 years ago, it would be in the regional district's best interest to conduct a new incorporation study. Funding can be applied through the Governance Restructure Grants Program, and applications are subject to a competitive review process with consideration given to urgency, ongoing projects, and other provincial priorities. Sprout Lake is currently in phase 4 of the official community plan process, which is to create the plan with a projected timeline of completion for summer 2026. As this information will provide valuable input into an incorporation study, as well as recognizing the staff hours required and other legislated and organizational priorities, staff recommend waiting to add this to the 2027 work plan. However, if the board would like to proceed with adding this to the 2026 work plan, 2 optional resolutions have been provided.
Thank you. Director Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. I have received an email, well, it's dated yesterday, but I got it today, addressed to the chair and the ACRD directors from the Sprout Lake Property Owners Association. And as property owners and residents of members of CHOP, their members' top priority with the ACRD is immediate submission of the municipal study grant funding request to the provincial government. Given the importance of this to the Sprout Lake Area D residents and owners, the ACRD cannot delay the proposed initiative Case 12 Sprout Lake Incorporation study. We ask the ACRD Board of Directors to pass a motion directing staff to include the grant application for the proposed initiative Case 12 Sprout Lake Incorporation study in the 2026 work plan and establish a representative committee jointly with the Sprout Lake Property Owners Association. We expect the directors, I would expand on that it should be all of the community. We expect that Directors Cote's request to the board will result in an immediate grant request to be submitted to the province and inclusion of the incorporation initiative in the 2026 or 2006 work plan. Must be 2026. We have been working with Director Cote to pursue funding to reopen the 2007 municipal incorporation study, an important step in ensuring Area D has current and complete information to support future governance decisions. We acknowledge her efforts in advancing this work. We would welcome continued collaboration with Director Cote, ACRD staff board, and the provincial governments to advance this priority 1 initiative for Area D. That's from respectfully Don Paul, President of the Sprout Lake Property Owners Association. They've been asking for this for over a year now, to be able to revisit what the incorporation study looked at back in 2007. At that time, it wasn't for the community's best interest to move it forward due to the financial implications that at that time. Things have changed in government, and it would be good to take another look. I think it would be timely with our OCP. I think that a lot of that can be transferred over to working that information that's required for an incorporation study. So I'd like to have this actually put back in as part of our proposed cases.
Would you like to move one of the alternate motions then? Because I think one of them covers that.
Okay, which one would that be?
I can't remember which one it is. Director Roth, do you want to?
Oh, okay. No, that's for other.
That's for delaying.
Speak to it? Or?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I support Penny. I think it's a good idea to move forward for this. I'd like to second your motion today.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have my laptop open, so I can't. Yeah, please go ahead, Daniel.
So
I see it now.
Yeah, page 165 has the alternative. So if you're talking about that the ACRD Board of Directors direct staff to bring back a work plan, implications of completing proposed initiative Case 12 Sprout Lake Incorporation study in 2026 to the January 28th, 2026 board meeting for consideration. That'd probably be the best approach. The only challenge that at a staff level that should be flagged is just resources and where they're allocated. The type of outreach that you're talking about that we would expect to have is high, which is labor intensive to make sure that we are creating the right forms for people to absorb information, dialogue the information, and then move forward. We just want to make sure we're doing a good job of that. And then the competing things are we're also doing the OCP and we have the election. So both teams that would be involved in this type of outreach have substantive projects already identified 2026. So we would have to come back with an alternate work plan that puts something down or delays something else. And the election isn't one of them, obviously. So we work around that.
My recollection from, because I was part of the 2007 incorporation study, there was community outreach, but we hired a consultant that did a lot of the groundwork for us, for the regional district. So I don't see that would be that much of an imposition to the board to actually have this run in line.
Is that motion okay, though?
I guess I could say that the ACRD Board of Directors directs staff to bring back work plan implications of completing proposed initiative case 12 Sprout Lake Incorporation study in 2026 to the January 28th, 2026 Board of meeting for consideration.
Okay. And seconded by Dr. Roth. Yep. Okay, thank you. Comments, Dr. Boyko and then Dr. Siga.
Thank you, Chair. I support this, and it's not very often where you have the residents asking for us to spend money and direct staff to do things. Usually it's the other way around, where we're giving things to the public and this is what's happening, but they're asking for this to happen. It's been asked for a long time, and then we should not wait for times for this to happen. It's obviously going to go past the election, and it's the will of the people to keep this going and elect a new director or whatever is going to happen to see this vision through. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Siga.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I have real concerns about having the election and the OCP completed, and I really would not like to see resources diverted from the OCP completions in order to satisfy just a repeat of the incorporation study. So I would prefer that the incorporation study be delayed until the OCPs are completed, because I think that kind of prioritizes things. And I'd also like, I know there's funding available through the federal government to do this, but in the meantime, until that funding comes through, does this mean that any work that is done by ACRD is through general tax revenues, or would this be specific to Sprout Lake? Again, just questions.
I believe the answer is that this would be limited to decision-making within Sprout Lake, but Terry could, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be.
No, it would be the entire board that pays for the incorporation study. I believe it would go under general government because it has no service. So it would be a general government issue that all of the regions would pay towards if there was no grant funding received.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I have Dr. Haggard, Dr. Steer, and then Dr. Roth.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Chair Jack. I'm just wondering, the only way I'll support this, because it is a very busy year, is if the regional district hires a consultant to do this. But if you hire a consultant, will that come from the Sprout Lake budget or the ACRD budget?
Ultimately, it's something that we can flesh out in greater detail in the report on the 28th. But I think still consistent with what Terry is saying, it would be under general governance. Assuming that there is still some complementary activity to a grant, right? So obviously, step one is applying for a grant. We don't know whether A, we get the grant, or B, whether the grant is sufficient to cover all the costs. So what we'll have to do in the report is sort of identify the options of what we would aim to do under different scenarios. And even if you do have a consultant doing it, it still has to plug into an employee somewhere in the regional district to convert that back in, as it would be their responsibility to oversee that activity. So we'd have to discuss who that would be.
Okay. Further comments? No. Director Roth and then Director Cote.
For Beaver Creek, we'd like to do something similar. So it would be good for us to watch Sprout Lake go through this process, and it would probably help us quite a bit and save a lot of money for us. I mean, not that we're going to do it now because the drinking water is a priority, but I certainly agree with the idea behind it. And I also know that the provincial government is likely, well, maybe before anyways, is quite likely to give the grant funding. And it's not a lot. I mean, I think it was like $20,000 or maybe $30,000. Things could have changed, but the last time I looked. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Cote?
Thank you. It says project description. Sprout Lake Director has requested staff add to the 2026 work plan a project to secure grant funding and complete a Sprout Lake Incorporation study. So that does include a grant application. So I believe there's a couple of them, and it was mentioned that there is a competition with other communities looking for this funding. So we'll see how that goes. I would really support getting that grant. So that's my main focus, is to secure that grant moving forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's it. And so no further comment. It looks like all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Alrighty, so that brings us to the next item, proposed initiative case 13, referendum for service creation for annual grant and aid for the Cherry Creek Community Hall. Is this a separate person, Terry?
I will be presenting this one. However, slightly hesitant to present now because this will be likely one of the ones that staff are recommending to put down if we proceed with the incorporation study. But at this point, the pick was recommended to proceed to provide a Cherry Creek Community Commission service, which would provide them potentially a grant and aid annually to support the Cherry Creek Community Hall. This is similar to what is done with the Sprout Lake Community Association and the Sprout Lake Hall. So the timing would be good to do it in 2026 because it would result in a referendum question as part of the local elections. However, there is some staff time for sure involved in completing this work. So the RFD was written as recommending to proceed. So I guess staff will stick with that for today.
Okay, thank you. And one point of clarification, if it was turned into a commission, it would be a service and therefore wouldn't be a grant and aid, it would just be a budget, right?
Yeah, so they are a commission, like a not-for-profit incorporated thing, and they apply annually right now, but this would give them a bylaw that would say these are the parameters of what they're going to do with the money, which would be to support the Cherry Creek Hall. And in Sprout Lake's example, each parcel in Sprout Lake that's in the residential area pays $12 per parcel per year, and that goes towards the operations and maintenance of the hall. So it would just prevent the society in Cherry Creek from having to make an annual application and ask of us. It would give them some revenue certainty moving forward, so they kind of know what money's coming for capital upgrades, and the community also to know what their commitment is.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Any further comments? Director Cote, go ahead.
Thank you. I have some recommendations for Cherry Creek, should they proceed with this. I also have a letter from the president of the community association asking for assistance or guidance in amending bylaw number E1047, which provides the grant and aid to the Sprout Lake Community Association. He'd like to expand the area covered by the bylaw to include all properties in the Sprout Lake area who benefit from the community hall and the association. He'd also like to remove the cap of $12,000 on the amount that can be recovered from the imposition of a parcel tax. He's uncertain of the mechanism involved and would simply like to bring the application before the board of the ACRD. So might be of interest moving forward with that so that it's properly crafted. That referendum went forward back when I first ran, and the community association has benefited from that parcel tax, but they're finding it doesn't cover the costs anymore of insurance, taxes, and there's improvements that are going to be needed going forward. So
we can add this to a
Okay.
future agenda. I think it's a bit out of order. Okay, Director Boyko and then Director Sparrow.
Thank you. So would this be something that a person could opt in and out of, or if it passes the referendum, then everybody is all in Cherry Creek, regardless of what you think of it or not? I got a follow up too.
Could you clarify what you mean by that?
So
Everyone
this would be a referendum for Cherry Creek people in the electoral area of Cherry Creek to put money in every year to the Cherry Creek Hall, correct?
Yes, so the commission would help define the service area. So they might not want to do the entirety of Cherry Creek. Like, for example, Franklin River Road is part of the Cherry Creek electoral area. So they may choose to do the residential area that surrounds the Cherry Creek Hall. But then once it goes to referendum, if it passes the referendum phase and the bylaw is adopted, everyone is in. It is a new taxation line item for that region every year. And the maximum would be set by this board through recommendations from the commission of where they would want. And there would be like a limit on that based on what the board sets. But yes,
Okay.
no opt-in, no opt-out.
So as a neighboring community representative to Cherry Creek, is there any chance a Beaufort resident would be paying into this?
So I would say no, but we haven't had any input from the commission as to where they would like to draw the boundaries. I'm gonna say that it would be clear that you don't want your residents in, and we would express that, but the directors actually get to vote on the establishing bylaw at the table. So even if the recommendation from the commission was to include some portion of Beaufort because they feel like they benefit to Cherry Creek the most, the directors at the table get the final say on what those boundaries are. So
100%, I will be opposing it based on that fact that unelected people will be making those decisions on the boundaries. If we redefine it that it's only Cherry Creek people, then I will support it. But based on that fact, I will 100% be not supporting.
No, sorry,
Thank
I mean our board of directors. So the commission can make us recommendations to present to you as the board of directors as to what they feel like the boundaries are, but it is an ACRD board of director bylaw. So this board will have the say on where the boundaries reside for it. So if you want to keep Beaufort out, then we'll be able to do that when we draw the establishing bylaw. We
Can I
will be
make
looking.
Can I make an amendment to this motion to say Beaufort's out right now?
No, I'd prefer you don't, because we can cover that when we get there. Right? Because we haven't even made the decision to do it yet.
Let's see if it's going to pass, and then I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Okay. Further comments? I have Director Haggard and then Director Cote. Oh, sorry, Director Sparrow, I didn't see your hand, so you'll go after Director Haggard.
Thank you, Chair Jack. I'm sorry I was late coming to the meeting. I should have recused myself for this discussion. Even though I don't go to meetings, I'm still listed as a director on the board of Cherry Creek Recreation Commission.
Okay.
I just thought of that, so my apologies.
Okay. Your new speaker, Director Sparrow, and then Director Cote.
Thank you for that. Hopefully you can hear me again. I'll get feedback now. So yeah, it'll be up to the Cherry Creek board to try the recreation board to figure out what they want, if they want Franklin River or not, and we will, as this board, decide the entirety. But the other thing I want to ask is, as opposed to a flat rate, can we do like a mill rate so to generate the money? Because like Spur Lake right now, they have a flat rate of $12,000. We could do it as that rate and put into a mill rate. So as the property values go up and down, the volume of money going into the hall will up and down. So if they decide to have subdivisions in the future, then they'll get more money. Is that a possibility moving forward?
Yes, and I think the common practice now with bylaws is to do both, both having a. So what Director Sparrow is talking about is when we express the maximum, we will express it as a solid dollar value, such as 12,000, but we'll also convert that based on 2026 numbers to what that is in a mill rate or a tax rate. And then as the assessed values grow, that would also increase your limit. Most of our ACRD bylaws and all of our new bylaws have that. Director Cote's one for Sprout Lake is old and does not have that expressed as a mill rate. It's only at the max $12,000. But yes, we would, and that those are all options for the establishing bylaw, and we would go through all of that with the commission in terms of what they would like to recommend to the board, and then this board table would be making the decisions about what this bylaw looks like for referendum.
Thank you. Yeah, and they're starting to find that it is hard to keep going with the grant and aid, and this would help them a lot. They can't stockpile money for a bigger project because they can't do it with a grant and aid, so they're handicapping themselves, and this is probably the better way to go forward so they can actually move on with projects and then get more stable in what they're trying to do. So I will make the motion.
Yeah, if you'd like to, please go ahead.
Okay. That the ACB Board of Directors direct staff to include the proposed initiative case referendum for service creation for the annual grant and aid for the Cherry Creek Community Hall and 2026 to 2030 draft ACRD financial plan.
And do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Cote. And comment?
Yes, I did have comments. So to clear up a bit of what Sprout Lake has done is we have a designated area. There's a map with properties that were identified as designated to be a part of this. It's a parcel tax. So individual, it's not assessment based. And the community association has the option to ask for that money or not. If they don't need it, they don't need to take the taxation. So they can do either.
Okay, I think that's a good consideration for the future meetings. Okay, any further comments? Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, thank you. Dr. Boyko, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a motion that with the motion that just passed to exclude the Beaufort electoral area from a potential catchment of the motion that just passed. Thank you.
Seconded by Director Roth. Any further comments? Okay, would anyone like to speak to this?
I'll speak to it.
Yep, go ahead.
So we have a Beaver Creek Hall in our area that's well used and well funded, and it's utilized on a daily, weekly, weekend basis. And when I book my town halls there, I actually have to fight to get a date because it's so well used and well funded. So because they have it used every day for multiple things happening and evenings and that, they're able to sustain their own funding with minimal help from taxpayers. So Beaufort is doing well supporting our hall. Even though it's a Beaver Creek Hall, it is well inside Beaufort, and we'd like to keep it that way. So that being said, we would not like to be included in the catchment basin of a potential thing for the Cherry Creek Hall because we already have our own. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none. Director Steer, go ahead.
Yeah, and just for clarity, Director Boyko, I think if I understood correctly, when they establish there will be a recommendation for the commission. We'll come to the board of directors, and at that point in time, I don't want to preclude this, but I would think that would be the appropriate time. It seems like we're almost putting the cart before the horse because that might not even be a recommendation at all. And the fact that the board of directors would be the one that establishes those boundaries, I'm just wondering if it's necessary to even make this motion at this time.
Director Boyko?
I would just like to make the motion to give clarity in the future so that we don't have this as a potential problem and issue, and we'll be done this in about 20 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? So this is just a regular decision of the board. Like another decision can be made later, but that's just neither here nor there. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. I don't have to write that down. Okay, so That brings us to proposed initiative case 14, leasing of external office space. Daniel, please go ahead.
That one will be me. So on this case, I don't think it's a surprise to the board to flag that our building no longer meets the operational requirements to house all our staff. We've been working on a number of different initiatives over the years for larger projects where we've talked about renovating this building or looking at alternative sites. We're still looking at alternative sites, but in the meantime, we do have to figure out our path forward for housing staff for the work that they do. We have carved up this building as far as we can, and we're now at a place of looking at alternative locations. We have some options that have already been identified, and in this proposed initiative, what we're saying or asking is if we could build a 2026 budget to allow us to lease some space. The lease of space would, of course, require establishing who would be in that space and where that space is, and we don't have those details yet. We would have to, before spending time on that, we wanted to ensure that the board was supportive of the motion going forward for discussion. At this time, though, it's fair to say that we've gone through a number of iterations over the last 4 years from the pandemic. We have been very creative in terms of balancing hybrid work schedules where people balance working in the building and working on remote locations, whether that be home or elsewhere. And we've gone as far as we can on that one. So there's a number of people that are sharing offices, a number of people that are scheduled to use the same office on different days of the week. And now that we're continuing down the path where we are looking to have staff work together more often, it makes a significant difference in terms of their ability to do project work in particular. And as we continue to grow, as we know, things like FireSmart is a great example where programs do grow over time, and our ability to house teams to do the work that they need to do is no longer there. So what we do have is an estimate that we're confident with in terms of the ability to house a group of staff. And if the board is not content with this approach, there are alternatives. And the alternative identified is that we could do a full remote work arrangement where staff do not have an anchor point in any ACRD office. And we create policies and to allow them to work from home. And the other alternative is the room we're in. We could actually look to reach out to other nearby communities, whether that be Huitzilopochtli or whether that be the city next door, to book and use their space for our board meetings. And that would be in favor of carving up space in this room so that we can house all staff. I'm always a little reluctant to move staff under different roofs. I'll say that. I find it more challenging to build culture, a consistent culture, when you're spread across a wide area. Which is why I would not recommend having a full work from home and no physical space or reduced physical space in our office. It makes it really hard to build team and consensus the way we currently are. And even this leasing space is a last resort, and it was debated quite a bit before being a pick, because it's more challenging to build that consistent culture and work environment when you're under a different roof. But we are at that space and at that place where we have to consider this, and there's a cost to the consideration. So I'm here if there's any questions.
Thank you. Director Roth and then Director Boyko.
I was just going to say, I don't have a problem with leasing an alternative boardroom space because we don't use it very often. And look at here, there's a lot of space, and Zoom's really readily accessible to most of us anyway. So I don't have a problem with that option.
Director Boyko.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So since this term started, we had a certain number of employees, and we've added, I think, about 18 so far in the past 3.5 years. And we took over the bank that was underneath there, and we almost doubled the square footage that we currently have, but now that's insufficient. How many more things are we adding in the future here?
At this point, it's not about adding anything. It's about just housing the existing. And the advantage you had, or that the ACRD had prior to taking the basement, is that we were still coming out of the pandemic, and a significant portion of staff are actually working from home. When we called people back in post-pandemic, we shifted to a hybrid model that allowed us to further portion out the space that we absorbed downstairs. But that isn't sufficient. And when you combine workspaces, whether that be the cubicles, whether that be team workspaces, along with the storage requirements that are also following suit with different programs. So I will pick on emergency services as an example, but we're seeing a lot of growth in that area. We're successfully receiving grants, which is great. But every time we expand, we're having to not only expand for space for people, but we're having to build in an ability to store all the stuff that's required for these emergencies. And we're having to maintain the ability to rapidly build up the space required to run an EOC. So this summer was a great example where we moved as many staff as we could upstairs because our EOC wasn't big enough. And so we had to put EOC staff in offices downstairs. And for some employees, they worked remotely during that period. That isn't something that is necessarily sustainable, and has a huge impact on our ability to meet timelines for the regular business that residents would expect to receive regardless of emergencies. And so, yeah, we're in a space crunch, and the space we have isn't adequate. It wasn't adequate 3 years ago when we started the process of visiting options. And as we continue down the path of exploring those options, we're really struggling. The other element that we're delaying, but we delay, and I raise a red flag of caution as we continue to delay it, is this is not an accessible building. It does not meet the accessibility standards. And at some point, we're going to have to make an investment. The only reason why we haven't invested in that is because we are still viably looking at other alternatives. And there would be no real point in making a local government level investment in accessibility on this building if we are actually eventually relocating in the near term.
Thank you for the explanation. I don't know, I still feel like we have grown exponentially, and having space saving options, work from home, hybrid things, different ways of working could make this problem disappear, but I'll let to see what the other board directors say. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director Sparrow?
Thank you. You're kind of a rock and a hard place here, because if you take this room and carve it up into office space and you move the board, it sounds simple, but then all the staff that are here have to move too. And if we call other staff, and this room is used quite a bit, people understand how often it is used. It's like 2 or 3 times a day, every day of the week. So, and if you move this boardroom off site, then all the meetings you have here now can move all the people off site, which has a lot more cost because in traveling, even if it's 2 blocks away. So yeah, you've got a fun job ahead of you, but you want to keep people in the building here. So I don't know what the best plan is. I think you're trying to think of one here, but if you keep the work staff in here for the cadre that brings along with it, then we have to move the boardroom somewhere else. And there are places we can move it, but then it would definitely add the secondary cost of all the other meetings you have in this room being there, and that's an extra added cost to the staff time. So we get loss of production that way. But as far as it goes for a pick, I'll look at it and see what the numbers come up with. No problem doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Mastrangelo, and then Director Cote.
Thanks. I'm curious, has there been consideration at looking at a bigger office space that could be a potential to share with another office space that is looking to grow? Or I guess one of the recent models I've seen, and I fully understand the need for a bigger office as our nation is going through that as well. And we're finding ourselves divided in buildings. There's currently 3 to 4 buildings that makes up our government of 90 employees. But seeing some of the other models that other organizations have done is seeing the demand that's going to be increasing in the years to come. So they've built offices that are bigger than what they need, but have done it in a way that allows shared office space from other places that are looking to grow or start. Just wondering if that's been a part of the question or consideration.
Thank you. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you for bringing that up, Lavana. It's we have in the options for moving out of this building, because that was the last direction of the board. We have been in discussions with a number of other local governments in the area to look to see if we can coordinate. And so we are working on a business case for that, and we are going to bring it back to the board. It's simply, there's no way that it's going to address the next, I'll say 2 to 3 years, because regardless of where we would go, there's no space that would house all of us right now that we're aware of. If there is, we'll come back quickly with a business case and costing for the board. But right now, what we're really looking to do is create enough time and space for us to flush out exactly what you're talking about. Who would our partners be? How could we work together on something that leverages all the needs of various governments in the area? And there are, like, we do know, we've got the city as a neighbor, literally across the parking lot. We've got Huchuklassit down the road. We have Iklusaf just further up 3rd Avenue. We have Huayet now that has, I think, an upstairs office on 3rd, and then further down towards the Alberni side. There is a great opportunity for us to work together on something that we can all share and grow with. And we are working on that. So it's just not ready yet. And it's still going to require that one of the partners be willing to make the investment on property and building, or all. And there's been some very high sensitivities at this board table in terms of exploration of new services or taking on more debt. And so my gut tells me right now that there's a greater likelihood that we would be a great long-term tenant, but not necessarily the entity that's borrowing to buy land or build. But we'll cross that bridge when we have a future discussion.
Thank you. So before I go to Dr. McEwen, did I forget anyone? I didn't. Right. Dr. Cote, please go ahead.
I was just going to say also about the conversation that we've had in the past regarding a new building. And it seems to me that putting a lot of money in for 2 years, if that's what we could pare it down to, is kind of a waste. That I wouldn't be opposed to having more satellite work from home situation if we had an end solution, but we don't. Thanks.
That's a great observation, and the reason why I think that the money is a reasonable spend at the end of the day is that wherever we end up, let's just say 3 years from now we're somewhere else. The tax requisition that we're talking about for leasing an office in 2026, that moves from whatever location we're in and then gets targeted towards either the purchase or the cost of another space. And so it's not wasted. the risk to moving to a full satellite model is that it is a drastic shift from the culture and work environment that we have, and that employees have overtly expressed as one of the primary motivations for working with the ACRD. And so I use the word culture quite a bit because culture is vital, in my view, vitally important and pays dividends. And the culture we have right now is attracting people, a lot of local people, which is great because we're not then moving people from other places to relocate to the Alberni Valley. So there's a great savings to us having a reputation where we have a good culture, a healthy culture, and it's not the best building, but it is a good, healthy workspace in terms of the relationships we have and we've fostered. So I don't want to lose that. Because it saves us a lot of money in recruitment, a lot of time in terms of downtime, not being able to do things. And I'll use planning as an example because this is the first moment in my over 4 years now with the ACRD that we actually have a full planning department. We've always been in a process of recruitment, shifting and moving, and there's a cost to that. When we look around and say, why haven't we done the OCPs yet? Why haven't we done this yet? We know the answer. We haven't been staffed up. And when we compared using contractors, the cost was quadruple that of hiring our own staff. So there's reasons why we're the size we are, and there's reasons why we've been moving in the direction. I wouldn't want to compromise that by throwing everyone out to the wind. And so that's my concern.
Thank you. Next up, I have Director McEwen and then Director Roth.
Thank you, Chair. I feel this is a part of a much larger conversation, of course, that we have explored partially in the past. And I kind of feel like carving up the boardroom would be a bit redundant if we are looking at a different building or a different location at some point. So I would be willing to make a motion that is proposed here, subject to further discussion. I'll move that the ACRD Board of Directors direct staff to include proposed initiative case 14, leasing of external office space in the 2026-2030 draft ACRD financial plan.
Okay, do we have some further comments? Next up is Director Roth. Please go ahead.
Thank you. What about trailers?
Well, the challenge with trailers is going to be we still have to put them somewhere. Well, and there are bylaws still that we have to adhere to within the city and the placement of trailers. And I wouldn't necessarily see the city wanting to create an exception for us because it's a slippery slope. So it would be a challenging one to navigate, but still a cost. And this is whether you're buying a trailer or leasing a trailer and placing it. I would lean towards a preference for using an existing building somewhere that can accommodate a group of our staff. And I would prefer in close proximity so that when we do have teamwork, we're able to walk if that is an option rather than drive and then be parking haphazardly. But those are my preferences. Right now, it's just a matter of building the budget so we can continue discussions.
I would think of myself purchasing one and then something that you could sell later, but the city has one down in their city works yard. I'm not sure if it's still there, but they had one there for years, right out front. And they used it for meetings and they also used it to work out of. So I don't think it's a bad idea, and especially when you can get a lot of nice, decent trailers now. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I have Dr. Boyko and then Director Coots.
So just as a final thought, we're talking about people and stuff running out of room. Can we put the stuff that takes up room out of an office that a person can go into and go into a storage unit or a shipping container or something like that? That's easily accessible in time of requirement. Secondly, I'd like to make this a recorded vote officially. Thank you.
Okay, Director Coots.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't need an answer now by any means. It just was a food for thought that popped in my head just now as we were discussing. Pardon me.
could we potentially look at more of a federal level, not necessarily for the funding or for the help, but to see what the percentage utilization is for Canada Revenue over in the old Sears building? It seems to be quite a large building. I've only popped into the front main entrance once or twice, and it doesn't seem to be much, but I haven't been in and around the building in many, many years since it was Sears. Thanks.
I think that'll be considered. I think, yeah. Got Dr. Solda, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, it would still require revenue to lease and that sort of thing, but it might be large enough. I think that was Dr. Coots's point. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at a recorded vote for this, so the motion is as written here for PIC 14. All those in favor? Okay. It's the one in that the ACRD Board of Directors direct staff to include proposed initiative case 14, leasing of external office space in the 2026-2030 draft ACRD financial plan. Okay, so all those in favor, raise your hands. I have to read out your names. Dr. Coots, Dr. Sparrow, Dr. Jack, Dr. Solda, Dr. Cote, Dr. Siga, Dr. McEwen, Dr. Steer, Dr. Beckett, Dr. Haggard, Dr. Mastrangelo. All those opposed? Dr. Roth, Dr. Boyko. Thank you. Motion carries. Alrighty, so that brings us to item M, which is grant funding applications for airport services. Terry, please go ahead.
Thank you. So this is 2 grant applications that we are proposing that we make to the BC Air Access Program, BCAP, both for the Alberni Valley Regional Airport. One is a reapplication of the maintenance building that we are hoping to construct at the site. And the other project is the replacement of the aged fuel system that is on the location. If successful, the grant would cover between 60 and 75% of the cost, depending on how we can qualify. Happy to answer any questions.
Do the motions have to be separate?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Director Boyko, go ahead.
Quick question. What's the maintenance facility? I haven't heard that for the airport before. Is that the storage shed? Are we calling it 2 different things for the same building?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yes. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
So the first motion is that the Alberni Claggart Regional District Board of Directors authorize staff to submit a grant application to the BC Air Access Program, BCAAP, for funding toward construction of a new equipment storage facility at the Alberni Valley Regional Airport. And if the application is successful, the board directs that staff include the project and associated grant administration in the 2026 and 2027 work plans. So moved by Dr. Cote and seconded by Dr. Solda. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Second motion is that the Alberni Claggart Regional District Board of Directors authorize staff to submit a grant application to the BC Air Access Program for funding toward design and construction of a fuel distribution system at the Alberni Valley Regional Airport. And if the application is successful, the board directs that staff include the project and associated grant administration in the 2026 and 2027 work plans. Moved and seconded by Dr. Cote and seconded by Dr. Solda. Further comments? All those in favor? Motion carried. Yes, I do read faster. So just have to go to the washroom again. Item N is the Union of BC Municipalities grant application for emergency operations centers, equipment and training. Terry, please go ahead.
As Director Jack said, for the EOC, another grant application, going to propose that we're partnering with the city. The city has passed their part of their resolution to say they would like to participate. So just looking to see if the board is willing, it would cover 100% of the costs.
Thank you. Moved by Dr. Solda, seconded by Director Cote. Further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item O, which has been modified, but it's just the materials. So Terry, please go ahead.
Thank you. So this is I hope, the final amendment to the 2025 to 2029 financial plan. This relates to the emergencies that occurred during 2025. We need to amend the financial plan for the expenses that were incurred. Multiple emergencies that are outlined in the report. However, the two main ones being the Mount Underwood fire and Wesley Ridge. So the impact to the Alberni Valley Emergency Planning Program is about 260,000. The mistake in the first report was that we put it all through emergency costs, but a good portion of that is actually wages associated with the event. So we split it out between wages and other costs in the updated one. And then for Bamfield, it's about 90,000. So these costs are 100% reimbursable by the province after we jump through their many hoops to prove that we've actually expended the money. So we're about to submit that final claim. And then this amendment is required by the Local Government Act when we have a chance after an emergency to then reflect what the costs were. So presented for adoption.
Thank you. Would anyone like to move the first motion? Thank you, Director Roth. It's the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors give first reading to bylaw cited as bylaw F1170-6, 2025 to 2029, Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Financial Plan Amendment. Moved by Director Roth, seconded by Director Cote, and comment.
Is there any of the costs here that go to the actual firemen that participated? Thanks.
As in like that we had some volunteer firefighters deployed to Bamfield. So yes, any chance that we have an ability to get money from the province to support our operations, we do. And that money is then passed along to the individual firefighters in that case, yes.
Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Anyone like to move second reading? Thank you, Dr. Roth, seconded by Dr. Solbit. Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. Third reading? Thank you, Dr. Roth, seconded by Dr. Sparrow. All those in favor? Motion carried. And adoption? Thank you, Dr. Roth, seconded by Dr. Coots. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. That brings us to planning matters. So 9.1, we have, I think they're all temporary use permits, and there's 4 of them. So Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. The first application is a temporary use permit for a property in the Long Beach area at 232 Albion Crescent in Millstream. The TUP would authorize the short-term rental of the main and upper floor of the house located on the property, with the owners residing in the basement suite. The board considered the application in December and resolved to proceed with the public input process. Notices were hand-delivered and mailed to neighbors, and ads were placed in the newspaper. One letter was received, which expressed some general concerns about the potential impact on the neighborhood with increased noise and traffic. Just to highlight that a TUP was issued to the previous owner of the property to allow for short-term rental in 2022, and the SDR did operate at that time without any neighborhood concerns. And with the current application, the owners would live on site, act as the caretaker, and off-street parking spaces would be provided as a requirement of the TUP. We'll also highlight that the building inspector completed a health and life safety inspection on January 9th and identified some requirements for posting the civic address to the basement suite, hardwired smoke detectors, and a fire extinguisher within the STRs. A condition has been placed in the TUP that would address these requirements and anything identified by the inspector prior to the use. So at this time, staff recommend that the board issue the TUP. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Dr. Roth?
Is the TUP tied to the person or the land?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, the TUP is tied to the person. So we have a clause in the TUP that if the conditions are not being met, or if the ownership of the property changes, then the TUP can be made invalid. A new application will be made.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a question. In regards to the wired-in smoke detectors, does that include carbon monoxide, or is that separate?
It does, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Dr. Siga, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to move that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors issues temporary use permit TUP 25015.
Thank you. Seconded by Dr. Sparrow. Any further comments? All those in favor, electoral area directors? All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Brings us to item B. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is a temporary use permit application in the Sprout Lake area at 8245 Dixon Drive. This TUP would allow for the short-term rental of a house for a minimum 1 week stay for an occupancy of up to 5 people. The board again considered this on December 10th, resolved to proceed with the public input process, which has now been completed. There were 2 letters received, both included in the agenda here for you to consider. 1 letter expressing support and 1 letter requesting that the TUP be deferred until the property, the neighboring property, is sold to allow for the new owners to provide feedback. The letter requesting the delay notes that the area is zoned residential and raises concerns about the impact on their own property sale and the impact on the future owners. Again, I'll highlight that the building inspector did complete an inspection and noted requirements for a carbon monoxide monitor again, and a water quality test to be completed. So those conditions have been added in the TUP. I'll just also add that the conditions we have in the TUP are intended to mitigate the neighbor concerns. So just to address the comments that the neighbor has made. So those conditions include maximum occupancy, off-street parking, compliance with noise bylaw, for example, in Sprout Lake, the caretaker availability, the safety precautions I mentioned, and the registration with the provincial STR registry as well. So the ACRD also, as I've noted, has the opportunity to resolve to rescind the permit if those conditions are not met. So given the conditions that are presented within the TUP, staff do recommend the board issue the temporary use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Cote.
Thank you. I think that the conditions have been identified and met. So at this time, I'd like to move that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors issue TUP 25014.
Thank you. We have a seconder. Thank you, Director Roth. Any further comments? See none. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Brings us to item C.
Thank you very much. This is another TUP for property 9694 Lakeshore Road. In this case, would be a 4-bedroom house that would be used as a short-term rental, with the property owners residing with family in the neighboring house to act as the caretaker. Response to questions raised by the Advisory Planning Commission that met on this, a condition was added to confirm that no recreational vehicles would be used as part of the STR, in addition to the conditions added into the TUP to confirm that any deficiencies identified by the health and life safety inspection would be addressed. The board resolved to proceed with the neighbor notification process on December 10th. That process was completed and there was no correspondence received from the public in this case. So at this time, staff recommend that the board issue TUP 25011 with those recommended conditions of use. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Cote?
Thank you. Once again, I think that the conditions have been identified and met, so I would recommend move that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors issue temporary use permit TUP 25011.
Thank you. Seconded by Dr. Roth. Seeing no comments, all those in favor? All opposed? The motion carried. And lastly, item D.
Thank you very much. This is a rezoning application, this one in the Sprout Lake area as well. The property is at 7775 Pacific Rim Highway. They've applied to rezone from a mix of commercial uses to a primary residential use. The rezoning bylaw is also accompanied by an amendment to the Sprout Lake OCP, which would redesignate the property from commercial to residential. The bylaws were given second and third readings by the board in November of 2025 following the public hearing. Since that time, the applicants have been working to resolve the conditions of rezoning that were outlined by the board, including submitting an assessment from a wastewater professional confirming that the sewage disposal can accommodate the residential use, and also agreeing to discharge the covenant registered on title that relates to some historic commercial uses. So in staff's opinion, the applicants have addressed those conditions of approval, and the Ministry of Transportation and Transit has also approved the bylaw under the Transportation Act. So all the conditions of rezoning appear to have been met, and staff recommend that the board adopt the bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. You've answered all the questions I have. Dr. Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, it's a sad day to see a commercial area closed down and changed to residential, but understand why. So I move that bylaw P1526 Sprout Lake Official Community Plan Amendment bylaw be adopted.
Thank you. Seconded by Dr. Roth. Comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.
I move that bylaw P1527 Regional District of Alberni Clayoquot Zoning Atlas Amendment bylaw be adopted.
Thank you. Seconded by Dr. Roth. Comments? Don't see any. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so that's it for planning. Thank you, Alex. That brings us to reports, area reports. Area A, Bamfield. Dr. Beckett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Recently, through a posted competition, Bamfield has hired a part-time fire chief, which is great. More importantly, I'd like to recognize the approximately 9 years that Chief Phil Lavoie was chief of the Bamfield Fire Department. And I appreciate all of his leadership and the direction that he gave his membership and the organization. And of course, congratulations to the new fire chief, Dan Zanuck. And secondly, I'd just like to a quick update on the Bamfield Road. You know, we're partway through the winter. You know, we have had a couple minor hiccups along the way, but for the most part, the steep terrain that was impacted, you know, has pretty much held up. You know, we've had a couple of trees down, but as I said, it's been open up for the most part. This week they were doing work to fix a couple of the potholes that had shown up. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that it continues to hold up and our communities can, and our tourists can access our communities safely until the better weather's upon us. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that. That brings us to Area B, Beaufort. Dr. Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. Everything's going fairly good in Beaufort right now. One problem we had is one of our roads is consistently falling apart, gravel road. Bain Road, it gets graded every week by Main Road and they can't keep up. The potholes are enormous and taking a truck on there is almost impossible. So we've been lucky to get a little bit of gravel put on there, but we need to consistently work with our suppliers on the provincial level and engage them to actually do what they're contracted to do. That being said, a lot of words about taxation and what our rates will be coming up here, and not a lot of expectations of a high number. And we're going to work in our budget season to make sure that we have something at CPI or less. That would be very hopeful for everybody. Assessments are out. I don't know, Terry, if we have them by area right now, but I know a lot in the Beaufort are actually down. So I'm not quite sure if you have that broken up by area yet, but we're looking forward to see that when that comes out. I see your hands moving somewhere.
Yeah, I do have them. I didn't get them in time for this agenda, so I will put a report on that end of the month agenda. You are right, majority of areas are down. Director Sega's Long Beach area is one of the main ones that's getting an increase, but we can discuss that at the 28th.
Perfect, thank you. And finally, our town hall, March 8th, is confirmed on Sunday, 2 p.m. Everyone is always welcome as before. Appreciate it. And it'll be right in the middle of financial season, so it'll be a very lively discussion. Appreciate your help. Thanks.
All right, thanks for that. That brings us to Area C, Long Beach. Dr. Sika.
No report, thanks.
Okay, electoral Area D, Sprott Lake. Dr. Cote.
Thank you. Looking at the Sprott Lake parcel tax review, they'd like to increase their funding. Sprott Lake Fire Department is doing Climb the Wall stair climb March 1st for the BC Lung Challenge, and they're looking for funding. If anybody is interested in donating to that. The roads, the lake and rivers are rising, and there's a flood watch going on. Agree, the roads are horrific. I think that the Ministry of Transportation has a new definition of what a road is supposed to look like. And just to report out that the Sprott Lake Fire Department had a Winter Wonderland event at Tall Timbers. It was successful community event. Lots of thanks to Doug and his crew. And that's all I have to report today. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Next up is electoral Area E, Beaver Creek. Dr. Rob.
Hi, thank you. I don't have anything to report. Thank you.
And finally, Area F, Dr. Sparrow. for the yeas.
Thank you. I got a few things going on here. Like I said, Tree Community Hall is gonna go with their pick there for this year. Hopefully we can get Franklin River Fire and Water on there too. We're getting a letter from the city telling them their intentions this year so we can understand what they're going to do and how we can work with them and we get that in the budget too moving forward. So that's gonna be another fun time for the budget. Talking about rain, I went through Maplehurst Park there and there's the trees that were up there are blockage now halfway down the park, so in the river. So if you hear about flooding in the park, you'll know why the trees are blocking right now. On the log train trail, I walked down there when it rained really hard. And it was ankle deep when I walked in and the water was gone when I walked out. So whatever drainage we got is doing good. But the log train trail in the middle of it is tore up at 6K and there's a hole in the bridge too at 6K. So, nothing to report.
Thank you for that. Staff are furiously writing that down. So, okay, next up is item G, City of Port Alberni. Director Solda, do you want to start? And then we'll have Director Haggard finish.
Yep, I just wanted to talk about something, a report from in camera at our last meeting. Notice of execution of land agreement with the riders of Alberni Valley for the purpose of maintaining and promoting non-motorized recreational use on the city-owned trail networks, including the Quina Trail Network and Dry Creek Trail for the term of 5 years. So that's a positive. So it's moving forward. Thank you. And I know Director Haggard has something.
Great, thank you. Director Haggard, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Jack. I'm in Vancouver this week attending the annual Truck Loggers Conference. So as usual, there's a lot of discussion on how to achieve the annual allowable cut, but also how to harvest the AEC economically. That's a big issue, is how to do it economically so that it makes good sense. Today I had lunch with the MLA from Prince George, and we have very similar communities with very similar issues and concerns. So we talked about what our respective
Oh, Director Haggard, I'm sorry, but you're frozen. There's a chance that you can
you know,
hear.
we're going to make these cleaned up and conversation about social issues. So thank you.
Okay. Well, there's definitely a latency problem with the internet. It's not necessarily your device, Dr. Haggard. We'll go to District of Tofino. Dr. Steer, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. No report today.
District of Ucluelet, Dr. McEwen.
Thank you. We had our first meeting of the year last night. Had an update on some of our capital projects, which is pretty exciting. We have a water treatment plant upgrade that is on track for upgrading the quality of our drinking water. So it's going to filter out the iron and manganese, which is what has always caused our water to have a slight brown quality. So that capital project is ongoing. We have a sanitary sewer project awarded. Our skateboard expansion has been tendered. We have a generator coming for our community center, and we're looking at some hard surface court options for pickleball and tennis. And that report will be coming to us in February. But we have quite a few capital projects that are either underway or about to begin. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up is Hawaiian First Nations. So I'll talk to a couple things. So I would normally be at Truck Loggers, but since Dr. Haggard goes every year and has forever, somebody had to be here. But I will be in Prince George next week for the Natural Resources Forum, going there. So the reason I say that is because Hawaiian is still, we're still invested in forestry. We're still interested in natural resources and navigating that in a good way. So we're really focusing on making sure that we not only get the word out that we want good solutions for forestry in the region, because we know that we're a part of coastal forestry and a vital part of the economy on the island. And we just need the government to pay attention to that. So that's part of it. The other part is that we continue to work on looking for diversified options in our own territory and within the community of Bamfield. So we continue to work with Forum Asset Management on the potential for property development in our territory, as well as working on things like our community cultural and visitor center, which is slowly making progress and nearing completion. That'll be a good time. And yeah, we're continuing on focusing a lot on our economics and on maintaining our organization and doing all the things we need to do to make our people's lives better and relate well with one another. So that's it for us, and that brings us to Tokwant, but they are not here. Next up is the Ho-Chukwu tribe. Dr. Coots, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report today.
And that brings us to Uklit-Ot. Dr. Mastrangelo, please go ahead.
Yeah, slight update. We do have a new CAO, Chief Administration Officer. His name is Sunny Dollywall, and he joined our team around December, around the first couple weeks of December. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, that's good news. Congratulations. Would anyone like to move to receive the reports? Thank you, Dr. Roth, seconded by Dr. Coots. Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, so that brings us to our other report in regards to the event that was held last week. So I guess I'll open us up. So our MLA and Minister of Health, Josie Osborne, held a meeting at the Barclay Hotel, and it was attended by well over 75 individuals, leaders in the community in various aspects. The meeting was centered primarily on what can we do as people of the Valley and the region to work on recruiting and retaining medical professionals, specifically medical practitioners, so physicians, family doctors, and nurses, to address a lot of the concerns that have happened over the past year in regards to the emergency room being limited, the ICU being limited, and really tackling the problem of family doctors in the area. So I think a lot of us attended that meeting. So I thought I would give an opportunity for anyone who had anything they wanted to say regarding that meeting and what we might want to do as a region, as a regional district, in regards to maybe looking into this and seeing what we can do as a group of local leaders to address this concern, because it's something that affects all of our communities in an acute way, and go from there. So we don't necessarily have to do a roundtable, but if anybody wants to start or have any comments, that would be great. And if not, that's okay too. Dr. Roth, please go ahead.
Well, there's something I think that would be really good. And I brought it up at the table, but I have it written down here. One longer term solution worth exploring is whether the province could identify suitable Crown land for an integrated live, work, learn healthcare campus, combining clinics, workforce housing, and training spaces. That kind of public land investment could significantly strengthen recruitment and retention in communities like ours. So in other words, identify the land ahead of time. And if the provincial government could actually put the use rate on the Crown land, it'd make our job a lot easier. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Dr. Cote, please go ahead.
Thank you. It was pretty obvious that that Marcy DeWitt from the Health Network was missing, because she brings a lot of the data and the information forward that we all use for making decisions. I think that it was great that we had the amount of people that we did. 77 people were supposed to be attending at that session, which was wonderful. Really good conversation going on. The presenters did a good job, and yeah, I look forward to the follow-ups. So I know that Minister Osborne was interested in providing us with a update of what was captured. And then we can all take a look at if we see any gaps or how we can find some solutions. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Dr. Haggard, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm having trouble with my internet, so I hope you can hear me okay. We always have these great meetings come up with these great ideas, and everybody's very excited, but there's never any follow through. So what I want to talk about is, I think at the next meeting, Daniel's going to bring forward a report for this for doctor recruiting retention, but I feel that there's a real need for some kind of coordinator to keep bringing these groups together and develop on these ideas, to go through LinkedIn, through Facebook pages is what they do in other communities, to find people who are interested in being here and to follow those people. And when people do, if they want to visit our community, they're there. If they do decide to move to our community, they do onboarding, they follow up with whatever they need. Just do regular check-ins to be they're comfortable and that they're happy. So just let that fester for a while and, think about it and help it at a later time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Haggard. Next up, we have Dr. Steer.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Director Haggard pointed out one of the biggest things that became apparent to me was the ability to identify and coordinate these activities where you have a point person, and that was brought forward the work that had been done in the Pitt Meadows area where they had a very concerted effort. The other thing that was identified in the roundtables that I had worked, that I was sitting in on, was the fact that the issues that we're experiencing in the Alberni Valley are also being experienced in almost every region of the province. And so what that told us was that you have a pie, the pie is only so big, and all of us are competing for that portion of the pie. So that posed the challenges that we were gonna, that speaking with our MLA, that is the responsibility in the province. That being said, we actually know that part of our responsibility as local communities is to ensure the quality of life, which includes healthcare in our communities. So it was a catch-22 where the challenges that all of us face in the regions around recruitment and retention of healthcare professionals and the responsibility of the provincial government to make that pie bigger. The other piece that was talked about very briefly was, which was outside of the recruitment and retention, was the preventative. If we can start limiting the numbers through good public policy, limiting the numbers that come into our healthcare system, that will reduce those numbers that will recur. Anyways, it was an interesting meeting, but once again, I think the Director Haggard pointed out the realities of we have all these wonderful ideas that we talk about on a regular basis, but no coordinating body to be the point person for these types of moving forward the initiatives specifically within the Alberni Valley.
Thank you, Director Steer. Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I thought it was an interesting meeting too. One concern I have, and you can see it when you go in the province and outside the province, is every community is advertising for healthcare workers independently, and we're spending money on advertising as opposed to actually getting people here. And everybody's competing for the same limited resource. And we need to find a way to stop the bleeding of the taxpayer to the advertiser and figure out how to actually have a coordinated response. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Could we have a motion to receive the reports? Thank you, Director Roth, seconded by Director Coutts. Any final comments? Final. Okay, so I'll have final comment on this. I attended as well. I think that this is something where we have to realize that if we're going to compete and actually be competitive, is that we're trying to attract people who have the capacity to choose where they live because they have the skills and income where the things that matter to an average taxpayer here does not matter to a doctor. And so I think the mindset needs to change away from how can we do things for cheap or free, and how can we build the community that we need to build to attract these people and retain them, because they can go to Parksville, they can go to Courtney, they can go anywhere in British Columbia and beyond, and we're competing with them for that. And so I think we have to adopt a mindset of what is the vision for the community to attract people. And what we can't rely on is, well, it's already beautiful and all we have to do is just kind of market better. I don't think we do. I think when you compare amenities from a discerning eye of a person who can go anywhere, we have to do better as a community of communities. We do. Because we have to be able to attract people away from places where it is much easier to live, where it's much easier to set up a business, because that's what family practitioners do. How are we going to be competitive? And I think more importantly, how are we going to put infrastructure in place to help lessen the burden of climbing up the mountain of the backfill of people who don't have family doctors. Part of what's going to dissuade doctors from coming to this area is just the backlog of people who don't have family doctors. And so what are the things we can do to help prevent that mountain from getting bigger? So nobody has to agree at this point, but we're not going to attract doctors by being cheap. We're going to attract doctors by creating the community that will attract them because they have the capacity to live here. They can choose to live anywhere. And so that's the mindset we need. And I think that's just where we need to go. So that brings us into late business. And I don't think there is any. And that brings us into question period. And I'm wondering if we have anything. I didn't see anything pop up on the chat.
No, we don't have any questions received and there's nobody in the audience.
Okay, so that brings us into the next item, which is going in camera. So I will read out the motion to go in camera and I'll move it. And here we go. The motion to close the meeting to the public as per the community charter under section 91J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And then also motion to close the meeting to the public under the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act under section 21(1)(c)(1). Harm significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the negotiating position of a third party. So I'll move that. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Dr. Solda. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.